anymore, so it's been a little easier.
The Republican in town yesterday as his portrait was unveiled in the Hall of Governors in the Illinois Capitol. Rauner was pressed to talk about his signature school choice tax credit scholarship program the legislature has yet to extend. Investing Kids is expected to expire at the end of the year if lawmakers don't lift the sunset.
It's a huge step back for empowering parents in the state of Illinois to lose that program.
The portrait was painted by Chicago artist Richard Halstead. Other news we're following this morning, Grubhub laying off 400 corporate employees here in Chicago and elsewhere. Changes coming to Amtrak's Lincoln service schedule between Chicago and St. Louis. Beginning on June 26, around 15 minutes will be eliminated as existing 90-per-hour run times will be lengthened because of high-speed rail project completion. Longtime host Pat Sajak is leaving the Wheel of Fortune next year. Chicago native announcing on Twitter that the 41st season of the game show, which begins in September, will be his last. The Columbia College and Farragut High School grad has hosted Wheel of Fortune since 1983. Sajak is the longest-running game show host in television history. Not bad for a front desk clerk at the Palmer House Hilton and Vietnam War vet. And did you know? Sajak followed Adrian Cronauer into the morning drive slot at Armed Forces Radio Vietnam and also signed on with Cronauer's famous Good Morning Vietnam every morning as well. Couple of sports notes. Denver Nuggets, 2023 NBA champions, beating Miami in Game 5 of the NBA Finals to win their first title in franchise history. Alex English, Dan Issel, David Thompson, Calvin Nat, Fat Lever, they're all very happy this morning. White Sox head out west to start a series with the LA Dodgers. Cubs return home to begin a series with the Pirates. Golden Knights knocking on the door of Lord Stanley's Cup. They try to beat the Panthers in Game 5 of the Cup final tonight. 5:09 is our time. We'll have a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dr. Sebastian Gorka sees through the lies.
After the search of Mar-a-Lago, there were days of lies about the FBI acting as some sort of thug army. And that hurts because the FBI needs to knock on doors and get people's help.
Because that's what they did at Mar-a-Lago. They knocked on the door and said, hey, can we get some help, right? That guy should be in prison. He should be in prison, along with the rest who corrupted the FBI.
America First with Dr. Sebastian Gorka. Afternoons at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
You don't need to starve yourself to achieve a healthy weight. Candace Rosen's latest book, Forget Dieting, eliminates the guesswork about weight loss. As the pioneer in glucose monitoring for weight loss and improved health, Candace Rosen believes the pancreas is the gatekeeper of poor health versus good health, weight loss versus weight gain. Whether tuning in or testing your blood glucose 90 minutes after you eat a meal or snack, you can leave dieting behind for good. Get the book today and start feeling better tomorrow. That's Forget Dieting at Barnes & Noble or Amazon. Candace Rosen believes in the practice of self-health. You are your primary caregiver, and your physician is just your secondary caregiver. Remember, it's never about the weight. It's about what excess weight represents, present or future poor health. Food is medicine. Forget Dieting. It's all about data-driven fueling. Order Forget Dieting. Available at Barnes & Noble or Amazon.
Sean Thompson here for my friend Tom Fortino of Alpha Wealth. There aren't many people who would knowingly leave their job to start another job for a 30% cut in pay. And yet, people do it every day when they enter retirement. Why enter the exciting new chapter of your life with less money? Why trade the stress of work for more stress in retirement? Tom Fortino of Alpha Wealth Group can help. Just call Tom at 630-934-1855 for your complimentary, customized retirement. It addresses many of the big questions you may have, like what to do about Social Security, managing your investments, and how to create income you can never outlive. You can downsize your house, but don't downsize your lifestyle. Get a complimentary, customized retirement plan at 630-934-1855 or visit alphawealthgroup.com. That's alphawealthgroup.com.
Advisory services through Retirement Wealth Advisors, LLC, RWA, an SEC registered investment advisor. RWA and Alpha Wealth Group are independent of each other. Insurance and annuities offered through Alpha Wealth Group, licensed in Illinois.
5:11, Team Hochberg Traffic Center time is a service of Verizon. Ready to take control of that phone plan? Well, then you better make that next turn into a Verizon store. Cause my plan from Verizon is the kind of control we deserve. Get my plan at your local Verizon store today. I-55, you've got exit ramp and closure delays southbound to Route 126. Ongoing roadwork, the problem there this morning. Otherwise, we're off on time. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy starts next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with our AccuWeather meteorologist, Steve Williams.
Cloudy passing shower this morning, periods of rain this afternoon, high today 66. Some rain this evening, otherwise partly cloudy late, low 57. Morning shower tomorrow, then partly sunny, the high 74. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Worried about basement flooding? Time to call Permaseal, 800-421-SEAL. We have light rain and 56 at O'Hare, 58 Lakefront, 56 at Midway. Right now, a Lake Michigan water temp of 60. Your next news update is 5:30. Chicago's Morning Answers starts next on AM 560, The Answer.
Are you looking for an interview podcast where you can be entertained and informed? Come check out our new podcast, America's Talking, to hear conversations with great stand-up comedians like Mark Normand.
Norm made you feel smarter than him, even though he was smarter than you.
As well as with leaders in the United States, like former Ambassador Andrew Bremberg.
I remember the fall of the evil empire. When the wall fell, every adult I saw was crying.
I'm your host, Austin Berg, and I want you to join the conversation on our new podcast, America's Talking, right now on Spotify.
Are you looking for a new podcast where you can get your national news from a taxpayer's perspective? Check out the America in Focus podcast featuring the Center Square's Dan McCaleb.
This jobs report, in some ways, it contradicts what I'm seeing anecdotally.
And Casey Harper.
And it's not just the economy. He has a 28% approval on the economy, but he also has 36% approval on foreign policy.
Find America in Focus wherever you get your podcasts and subscribe. That's America in Focus, a news podcast from a taxpayer's perspective.
Attention to all homeowners, contractors, and realtors. It's Sean Thompson. Do you have unwanted items cluttering your space? Whether it's old furniture, boxes, and appliances, or yard waste and renovation debris. There's no job too big or too small for Junk Jaws. They charge a flat fee for space your junk takes up on their truck. You pay for the space, and they supply the labor, removal, and disposal. They will even disassemble large items to make it easier for hauling. Junk Jaws is family-owned and operated by the children of parents I know, so you won't be paying for those high franchise fees. I only know entrepreneurs. What really makes Junk Jaws different from the competition is that they will donate lightly used small appliances, clothing, and furniture to local donation centers. Junk Jaws is reasonable, speedy, and professional. Look at the reviews. Junk Jaws has over 100 five-star reviews and counting. Declutter your space today. You can book directly online at junkjaws.com or over the phone at 833-586-5529. They even offer same-day estimates and pickups. Junk Jaws.
Hi, Barry Sterner, founder of Townstone Financial. Inflation has caused many of us to use our credit cards more than usual. Having large credit card balances at interest rates at or near 20% is difficult to manage, on top of the fact that making minimum monthly payments is a path to financial disaster. So how about taking out a fixed second mortgage or a home equity line of credit to tap into your home's equity and pay off those high interest rate credit cards while keeping intact your current first mortgage, which is probably in the 3% range. Home values are at very high levels, but may not stay that high for long. So now is the time to give Townstone a call so we can provide you with a free debt consolidation consultation at 312-896-2110. And if you're looking to buy a home, Townstone has programs for first-time home buyers, self-employed borrowers, and individuals with less than stellar credit, as well as those with perfect credit and a large down payment. And remember, nobody values your home mortgage business more than Townstone. So call 312-896-2110 or go to townstone.com. That's TOWNSTONE.com.
Townstone Financial is licensed in Indiana, Michigan, Wisconsin, Florida. NMLS 136639. www.nmlsconsumeraccess.org. Equal housing lender.
When you're serious about your concealed carry training and education and are ready to learn from an active police officer with a teaching degree, check out Illinois Concealed Carry Training in Midlothian. You'll learn safe, responsible firearm use, home defense planning, conflict avoidance, situational awareness, and how to remain physically, morally, and financially safe in the event you must use your firearm in self-defense or the defense of another. Weekday and weekend classes available.
I'm Sergeant Gary Carr, police firearms trainer and the owner of Illinois Concealed Carry Training. We'll arm you with what really counts: knowledge and training. All concealed carry curriculums are not created equal. This may be the single most important decision you'll ever make for yourself and your loved ones. Choose between 3 and 16-hour classes that are available both weekdays and weekends. We are your one-stop for concealed carry classes, fingerprints, and legal defense plans.
Register for a class today and get 10% off class fees with promo code AM560. Visit IllinoisConcealedCarry.com. That's IllinoisConcealedCarry.com.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560 The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So former President Trump gets arraigned in Miami today, and he spent some time yesterday with his friend Roger Stone. Why? I don't know. One of the head-scratching qualities about Trump, the people he surrounds himself with. It continues. But anyway, here was his message to those who may show up in Miami to protest what's going on, like his indictment.
I do. We need strength in our country now. Our country is being taken away from us. Our country is going communist. It's going Marxist. It's going really bad. And the people of our country aren't that way, but the people running it are. And we need strength at this point. And everyone's afraid to do anything. They're afraid to talk. And they have to go out and they have to protest peacefully.
Did you hear that? Protest peacefully. I just wanted to memorialize that for the record for the J6 insurrectionists crowd.
Well, I think this is going to be a repeat of what happened in Manhattan when he was indicted on the Stormy Daniels business. Nothing. I mean, there was a smattering of people there, and there was a smattering of protesters and a smattering of supporters, and everything was just fine. And I think that's what's going to happen again today. I mean, we're not going to see Trump. They're going to take him in and out through a tunnel. So I don't know.
I'm not that compelled by the whole thing, too. It's all media trying to whip up something that is unlikely to occur. And it's also the cynical, craven nature of the D.C. press corps, too, that they're rooting for violence, as opposed to people just taking this as this is part of this process. And yes, you should make your voice heard, what you think about the process and the processors. But nobody is advocating violence, just as the president didn't advocate violence on January 6th. I don't know how to break it to people that have been indoctrinated with that storyline. It's very interesting, too, because one of the arguments one might make, this is a political argument, not a legal one, about the indictment of Trump by the feds. They couldn't get him for Jan 6, so they got him for this. The idea was, and this is Julie Kelly's theory, among others, the idea was they were always, the raid at Mar-a-Lago was ultimately about Jan 6. Andy McCarthy actually said the same thing. They were always trying to angle in to punish him for January 6th because that's popular, at least in half the country. There's a storyline that has been bought by, say, half the country that he's responsible for what happened on January 6th. Obviously, the January 6th Star Chamber did much to gaslight people about that. And so he can't really conjure up a crime as it pertains to his conduct on January 6th. They couldn't put it together. He was the center of a conspiracy to overthrow the government. Well, That's not what he's being charged with, is he? Couldn't quite put it together there, so they got him on the docks.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You could also reach us all morning long on our text line, 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment.
Now, there's another development yesterday.
Oh, what?
Trump's got docs. Biden's got docs. There's a tape on Trump. There's allegedly a tape on Biden.
Oh, really?
Chuck Grassley, Senator Grassley from Iowa, took to the Senate floor to describe what the FBI whistleblower alleges the briber has on the alleged bribees. That would be the Burisma oligarch, and the bribees would be the big guy, who apparently he called Joe Biden the big guy, too. Maybe that's where it originated. Hunter just borrowed it from his boss at Burisma. The bribees, the big guy, and, of course, his number one son there, Hunter. Take a listen to Chuck Grassley.
That the foreign national who allegedly bribed Joe and Hunter Biden allegedly has audio recordings of his conversation with them. 17 such recordings.
Oh, uh-oh.
According to the 1023, the foreign national possesses 15 audio recordings of phone calls between him and Hunter Biden. According to the 1023, the foreign national possesses 2 audio recordings of phone calls between him and then Vice President Joe Biden. These recordings were allegedly kept as a sort of insurance policy for the foreign national in case that he got into a tight spot. The 1023 also indicates that then Vice President Joe Biden may have been involved in Burisma employing Hunter Biden. Based on the facts known to the Congress and the public, it's clear that the Justice Department, the FBI, haven't nearly had the same laser focus on the Biden family. Special Counsel Jack Smith has used a recording against former President Trump. Well, what is U.S. Attorney Weiss doing with respect to these alleged Joe and Hunter Biden recordings that are apparently relevant to the high-stakes bribery scheme?
Yeah, well, boy, Rosemary Woods had her 18 minutes, and the Bidens have their 17 tapes, according to the whistleblower telling Chuck Grassley about the oligarch and his tapes of conversations with the Biden Inc. as an insurance policy. Well. Wouldn't those tapes be fun to hear? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. And where is Special Counsel Weiss? David Weiss, who's investigating the Hunter Biden matter. And how long does that take?
I know. They drag their feet.
You wrapped up Special Counsel Jack Smith wrapped up his investigation from the fall to the summer. And what year are we on? And that's just looking at Hunter. That's not looking at where Hunter's activities may lead, to another almost dozen Biden family members who were on the distribution list for cash.
Well, the gun charge is almost 5 years in the making, and I think it was Andrew McCarthy that came on and said that, that's going to expire in the fall.
And nobody's interested in these tapes? Mary Kay, Western Springs, you're in Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, good morning. Good morning, you guys. I have a conservative sister who listened to the reports right after January 6th. She and I talked, and she said there were 200 people there at the beginning, and it was flooded with Antifa and disruptors on the other side. We know this already by looking at the tapes that Tucker Carlson released, and we got to see all that. But it took, how long was it? 2 years? 2 years of listening to the liberal BS about what actually happened. You can't trust the media. We know we can't trust the media, so it's up to us to find out the real story. You've got to do your research. You've got to find out the real story. That's why we listen to you guys, because we know what we're talking about. Then we can verify, and then we can spread the word.
Thanks for the call, Mary Kay. I misspoke, by the way. David Weiss, of course, U.S. Attorney for Delaware, Trump appointee, not special counsel, because the question has been raised, the point has been made by Andy McCarthy, by Republican senators. Why isn't there a special counsel, Merrick Garland? Where is the special counsel for Hunter and his hillbilly family, for the big guy and his hillbilly family, for Biden Incorporated? Where is it? Tapes of
equal justice? No.
A paid FBI informant alleges bribes, alleges tapes exist. And who at DOJ is going to track that down? David Weiss in Delaware? He can't even track down the Hunter Biden, the obvious Hunter Biden matters. There's roadmaps on his laptop. How good a prosecutor do you need to be exactly? John, Naperville.
It's quite obviously that the reason why Trump's investigation is so short is because the whole process started way before the investigation started. They were looking for make the man guilty regardless of what he did. In regards to Hunter with that gun in the form, didn't they just indict or prosecute or do something to that woman whose son, the little kid, brought the gun to school and shot the teacher? She got investigated, and that was done so quick, it was unbelievable. But they can't investigate Hunter and his form with the gun? That's sickening.
Thanks for the call, John. Well,
she was in court yesterday.
There's nothing to the Hunter Biden falsifying information on that form. There's nothing. I mean, what's the defense? He said he's not a convicted felon.
Right.
Or he said he didn't have a substance abuse problem, and he should be a convicted felon. He said he had didn't have a substance abuse problem, and it's documented by Hunter Biden.
Yeah.
ABC 7, ABC's ABC national interviews, but okay, it's documented by his dad.
Yeah,
it's documented by everybody who rallies to the defense of Biden and says, "Oh, you're picking on Juan Williams. You're picking on a boy with an addiction problem." 51-year-old, 52-year-old man. Okay, but whatever. The little boy, Joe Biden's little boy. How could you pick on him? So I mean, you say, well, Dan, you have to understand. Weiss is pulling together, all of the Hunter Biden activities, and we're trying to figure out there's possible illegality. So let's do it all in one fell swoop. No, it's not. You're allowed to indict somebody for one crime and come back and indict them for more. Is this news to the Department of Justice, David Weiss? Mark and Rochelle.
Yeah, I was curious because I wonder, has anybody disputed Trump's claim that he declassified these documents? Or is that just, stated in the indictment?
Thanks for the call, Mark. I mean, people are disputing it, not in the sense that they can prove he didn't, although he, in this conversation, that's recorded conversation, he says of the document he's waving around with Milley's secret plan to invade Iran that I didn't declassify. This is still secret. I mean, who knows what was exactly going on in that conversation? That's going to have to be fleshed out. But I mean, the point is, if Trump says he classified the information, then you would think he would make that argument. He's never really made the argument. He sort of has made overtures to it, and you have former DOD Chief of Staff Kash Patel saying it happened in front of him. I don't know what allegedly, I don't know the specifics of what Kash Patel has provided specific exactly what documents were classified in front of him and so forth. Just sort of generally describing that. So I don't know if that's a defense that's going to be offered, and that's something that Trump would need to initiate. You're not going to get away with saying you can't prove I didn't classify them. You have to make an evidentiary case that you did, and thus that you're insulated from some of these charges. Although, again, because they're using the Espionage Act to prosecute him and not the Presidential Records Act, even the classification argument only goes so far. George in Naperville.
Dan, you touched on this, but anytime they have something on Trump, it takes place at warp speed. With the Bidens, it's like a slow walk to China. Nothing happens.
Yeah, and thus the cynicism, thus the belief in 2 tiers of justice.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Well, I think we should talk a little bit about, this is Pride Month, a little bit about the latest and greatest, what's happening with the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence and the Dodgers. So we'll do that at 5:38.
But now let's head straight into that newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
5:31, 56 degrees and light rain showers. Denver police say 9 are injured after a shooting early this morning. 3 of the victims are reportedly in critical condition after what investigators are calling an altercation involving several individuals about a mile from where the Nuggets just won their NBA World title. Police say 3 have been found dead in the English city of Nottingham, and 3 others are critically injured after being struck by a van connected with the murderous incident, according to police. And 1 man has been arrested on suspicion of murder. The U.S. military says a helicopter accident northeast Syria over the weekend has left 22 U.S. service members injured to varying degrees. 10 have been moved to higher care facilities outside of Syria. Former President Trump is calling his indictment related to the handling of classified material a witch hunt.
They've weaponized the Justice Department, absolutely weaponized it, in order to try and win an election where he's way behind.
He made the comments yesterday during an interview on Radio Libre 790 in Miami. The Biden administration is defending its decision to initially lie about news reports of a secret Chinese spy operation in Cuba.
We were as forthcoming as we should have been at the time the first stories appeared.
National Security Council spokesman John Kirby telling reporters the information was, quote, sensitive, end quote, at the time of that report. Meantime, Secretary of State Antony Blinken will visit Beijing next week.
We shared concern that the provision of weapons to Russia for Ukraine is something that they might be considering.
Blinken earlier this year canceled a trip to Beijing after a Chinese spy balloon was discovered flying over the U.S. 1 person is dead after a tour boat capsizes in western New York on Monday morning. At least 16 had to be rescued from the flat-bottom boat in Lockport Cave. The mother of a 6-year-old who shot his teacher in Virginia, pleading guilty to federal charges. Deja Taylor entered that guilty plea to 1 count of being an illegal drug user while possessing a firearm. Bond set at $2 million for an Elgin man charged in a crash that killed a teen couple in Hoffman Estates over the weekend. A certified nursing assistant at a state-run mental health facility in Elgin is facing charges of abuse and battery. Lauren Carroll is accused of abuse and neglect of a long-term care facility resident. Actor Treat Williams is dead at the age of 71. Williams, who is the star of Everwood and Hair, died Monday afternoon in a motorcycle accident. His agent confirmed the news. Best Treat Williams film for my money? Deep End of the Ocean with Michelle Pfeiffer. Denver Nuggets NBA champions. White Sox start a set with the Dodgers. Cubs back home to begin a series with the Pirates. The news service of Dan and Amy 24/7. You can now enjoy uninterrupted programming from Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson, and you can listen now at danandamy247.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Make sure that you never miss a day of Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson when you subscribe to the Chicago's Morning Answer podcast, presented by Signature Bank. Listen to the entire show each day on demand with limited commercial breaks. You can subscribe today for free at 560theanswer.com and click on podcasts or search for Chicago's Morning Answer on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Hi, I'm Martha Stewart. Every year, more than 4 million pets enter shelters here in the United States. My friends at American Humane have been helping animals since 1877. The goal is to ensure that pets have a safe shelter, especially during natural disasters. Adopting a shelter pet allows shelters to help more animals awaiting care. Please consider adopting today and take some time to learn more about American Humane's other work at americanhumane.org.
At Simply Safe, we design award-winning security to protect every inch of your home. It's easy to set up yourself, and now there's an even easier option. Have an expert do it for you with Simply Safe Pro Install. Always protecting, never a contract. 2 easy installation options, backed by 24/7 professional monitoring for less than $1 a day. Get 20% off any new system with Fast Protect monitoring at simplysafe.com/radio. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
When America's debt bubble bursts, it could destroy the value of your 401k or IRA. Hi, I'm Dr. Ron Paul, and this is why I recommend gold IRAs. And Birch Gold Group is the only gold IRA company I trust. Right now, you can get a free info kit on gold when you text the word SHELTER to 989898. That's SHELTER to 989898 to request your no-cost, no-obligation info kit today.
Let's talk about tomorrow for a minute. Chances are, someday, you're going to want to retire. And even though you'll stop working, you'll never want to stop achieving. You'll want to explore new ventures when you retire. You'll want to see and experience new things because you'll finally have the time to do it. But to get there, you'll need a financial strategy. Patrick Curtin at Morgan Stanley can help. Patrick is a financial advisor, and he has more than 24 years of experience. Patrick can help you create a strategy based on how you want to live now, and once you retire, he'll work with you and your attorney toward your goals like estate planning and leaving a legacy. And the great thing is, he's right here in Oak Brook. To make an appointment with Patrick, call 630-573-9769. That's 630-573-9769. Meet with Patrick today to talk about your future. Because when you stop working, your retirement income is going to have to work for you.
Morgan Stanley, Smith Barney, LLC, Morgan Stanley, its affiliates, and Morgan Stanley Financial Advisors do not provide tax or legal advice. Morgan Stanley Smith Barney, LLC, member SIPC.
Guys, if you've noticed a lack of energy, motivation, and drive, it could be low testosterone. Schedule your complete health assessment at Low T Center. They now offer the convenience of monitored, self-inject, at-home testosterone treatments for $150 a month cash pay or covered by most health insurance. If you don't live near Low T Center or you just need the convenience of at-home treatment, Low T Center makes it easy to get started on treatment. Only your first 2 visits are in person. Go to lowtcenter.com now to book online. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
Now there's a simple, easy, and effective way to clean your nose and protect your health. It's called Navage. Navage, available at Navage.com.
5:39. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time is a service of Salem Surround, a local digital marketing agency. Go to surroundchicago.com today. Southside Inglewood neighborhood, 69th Street between Union and Parnell. It's closed right now due to a crash investigation. This involves 5 young teens, 13 and 14 years old, in a stolen vehicle, fleeing the scene and then crashing into a fire hydrant. Again, Chicago Fire said 5 have been transported from the scene. And again, 69th Street, east and west between Union and Parnell, remains shut down. Only other major problem we have, Dan Ryan Express lanes, accident outbound between 43rd and 47th. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Breezy, showers this morning, and a chance of a rain shower this afternoon. We'll top out at 66, have showers in 57 overnight, partly sunny and warmer tomorrow, high 74. Light rain in 55 at O'Hare. Next news coming up at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson.
Sports and politics and sports and politics and sports and politics and intersection. Arrogance and ignorance, arrogance, ignorance, and arrogance and ignorance. Intersection.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So Friday night is the big night at Chavez Ravine. That's when a bunch of homely, half-naked men dress in habits so they can drink yogurt-filled chalices at a mock funeral to mimic downing semen, and perhaps do a Hunky Jesus contest while they accept a Community Hero Award from the LA Dodgers. Because if that doesn't happen, as the LA Teachers Union announced, kids could die.
Oh, they could die.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. Our friends over at Catholic Vote, Brian Birch and Company, have an ad up reminding the Dodgers of their history as opposed to their present.
The Dodgers were trailblazers. Playing Jackie wasn't popular. Hate and disrespect were popular, even in law. But the Dodgers were right. They helped power a movement and changed a nation. Their leadership, class, and style of play were the envy of baseball. The Dodger way. But today, the Dodgers are putting it all at risk. On June 16th, a prominent anti-Catholic hate group will be honored on the field. A group that mocks Catholic nuns with vile sexual perversions, pole dances on crosses, blessings with sex toys, even sexualizing the Virgin Mary and the words of Jesus Christ. A fringe group like this? Honored, awarded, celebrated? There is no equality in mocking women religious, no tolerance in hate, no pride in anti-Catholic bigotry. Mocking Christians is not the Dodger way.
Well, apparently it is the Dodger way. I mean, I get their point, and it's good to compare and contrast the Dodgers being ahead of the learning curve with Jackie Robinson to being just another organization of barbarians that are complicit with the prurient nature of our culture today. Big difference. Good thing Vin Scully is not alive to see this. I think he would have pulled a Sandy Koufax. You know, Sandy Koufax took his Jewish faith seriously. Didn't pitch on Yom Kippur. I don't think Vin Scully would have announced that game.
You think he
on
would have
Friday night?
You think he would have sat out?
I think he would have sat that one out. Fire me. You know, right? The great Vin Scully. Rich in Indian Head Park, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yes, good morning, Dan. Good morning, Amy. You know, this LGBT community wants to be respected and accepted for who they are. But yet they turn around and they show no respect for other groups, especially this Dodger thing where they're making fun of Catholics. What kind of respect are they showing to other groups? And they're the ones that are looking for all the respect and for people to accept them. It's ridiculous. It makes no sense to me. Everything is about them. You know, everything that they talk about, oh, the gay community needs to be respected and blah, blah, blah. It's ridiculous. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thanks for the call, Rich. Well,
I mean, listening to that ad, I wanted to cry that it's come down to this. Why are they being celebrated? I mean, they invited them, then they disinvited them, and everyone's hair got on fire, and then they invited them back.
Yeah.
Do you want to go to hell? Are you begging to go down there when you die?
Why? They just want to be respected. Is that right?
No, they don't want to be respected. They want to be celebrated. This look at me. I can't, defile myself fast enough by putting on, the habit with crazy makeup, and I have a beard, and I'm supposed to be a nun, but you're making fun of nuns.
Yeah, but
what is that?
Do they want to be celebrated? Yes, but is there more that they want than just to be celebrated? Certainly, there's more than they want to quote unquote be tolerated. Tolerance is not nearly enough. And Right. Tolerance to the left is synonymous with celebration. If you're not celebrating, you're being intolerant. But is there something more that's at play here than even celebration? James in Wooddale, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, remember, it just ain't Los Angeles. It's all the baseball teams and the players' unions all seem to be okay with this. So, pox on all their houses.
I mean, if you were
Thanks for the call, James.
sorry, if you were a season ticket holder, are you going to sit that one out, or are you going to go and maybe turn your backs on them?
Maybe turn in your season tickets. Joe in Hoffman Estates.
Hey, these guys think they're so tough going as nuns picking on Christianity. I like to see them go there as, let's say, the Prophet Muhammad and drag and see how long they last and see how that works out for them. These guys make me sick.
Thanks for the call, Joe. This is one instance where you're actually hearing from Catholic leadership, really unanimously and unequivocally. The leadership in California, the Archbishop of San Francisco and L.A., all saying the same thing. I think it was the Archbishop of San Francisco who said, San Francisco. What? I think he's the one who said, oh no, maybe it was Archbishop Gomez of L.A. who said, I don't know what gods the L.A. small g gods the L.A. Dodgers worship. That was good. I like that. Yeah.
Are they honoring any other groups? I mean, why? They're just going to give them an award, or like some plaque or something? Way to hate Jesus. Here you go. Congratulations. Are they going to do a dance? Are they going to, I mean, what are they? Are they going to be booed? Are they going to be cheered? Because I think they're going to be booed. But then again, it's L.A. We don't know.
Yeah,
They could bring their friends.
what's going on here is the question. What's this an illustration of? What does it say about where we are as a culture and a society? Eugippius had a good write-up on this at his blog, The Meaning of the Rainbow Revolution. He talks about sort of where we're at. The approach to politics that runs through government. COVID was a low point, he writes, simply for revealing the steely and actually quite anti-liberal authoritarianism small d democratic systems have been nurturing in their innermost chambers for many decades. Western liberal states in the modern era do not behave like limited systems which derive their sovereignty from the people. Each day, they more and more resemble the kinds of unchecked totalitarian regimes we remember from the Soviet period. If anything, they seem poised to become a good deal worse, for they're able to achieve relatively prosperous economic conditions and to harness popular support for far more efficiently, thus evading the harder constraints on the ambitions of the old Warsaw Pact governments. State power wishes to be free in the same way water wishes to flow downhill. The problem with liberal checks on power is they force the state to develop novel legal and cultural solutions to overcome those checks. State politics in liberal systems has thus come to resemble antibiotic-resistant bacteria in hospitals. It has evolved a general resistance to constitutional limits, in the process becoming an altogether worse and more dangerous animal. Yeah. Workarounds. Nowhere do novel, and so the manufacturing of rights, that's the way to work around. The manufacturing of rights, not enshrined in the Constitution, not negative restraints on the government, but positive responsibilities imposed on the populace. Nowhere, going back to Eugippius, nowhere do novel liberal rights, which is what he's talking about, what I just described, metastasize so rapidly in the discourse surrounding sexual and gender minorities. The ever-growing Rainbow Coalition, symbolized by a flag that every year gains new colors and a puzzling initialism that is forever acquiring new letters. LGBTQQIP2SA appears to be the latest version. There's a number in there now.
I didn't know that. That's news to me.
You got to keep up.
All right.
But this is a cutting edge of state power. Each of the identities subsumed into this juggernaut abounds with utility for the administrative state and opens up all manner of avenues for government bureaucrats to define and regulate the most intimate aspects of human culture, behavior, and sexual expression. It is no accident that the pride flag has become the most pervasive and probably the most sacred political symbol in the Western world. It will increasingly displace national symbols in prominence and moral significance. It already has at the White House. They put it center.
No, I saw that.
Subordinating the American flag to the pride flag. You don't think there's a point to that? You think it's just about celebration? You're missing it. Eugippius is getting it. One more matter in sports and politics. Have you met the Leah Thomas of cycling? His name is Austin Killups, and he has come to dominate the women's cycling world. Over the weekend, there was an event in North Carolina, the Belgian Waffle Gravel Race.
It's a 131-mile race.
Oh, sure, of course.
More than a century ride. It's a tough one. Up and down hills. It's hard, and he entered a women's race.
Well, he entered it. He
won it.
He's the dominant contestant, the dominant participant on the women's cycling circuit. Here's Austin Killups reflecting on his big win over the weekend in North Carolina.
Okay. About how the day played out and like what you're going to remember the most about this victory.
I mean, it was just a grueling effort. I'm just really proud to like lay it out there and get the result. But yeah, I kind of after BC, I kind of get how things work now, where like you really want to be up front going into those technical single track sections, and kind of asserted myself there. Was able to get a gap early, then got a flat, and then we were kind of all riding together for quite a while. And I just, I have a cross background, and I was just like, I'm gonna attack these single track sections as hard as I can and try to establish a gap again, and did that. God, I don't even know what mile, but one of the mid-race single-track sections I just kind of hammered and was able to stay clear and
well, here we go. This should
together.
be a silver medal winner.
Congratulations again. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, it's wonderful to hear the strategy he employed to win the women's race.
He won the race by 5 minutes, which is a lifetime. I mean, he killed it out there.
Paige Onweller finished second to Austin Killups. And here's what Paige had to say. Very understated, but there's a point she makes subtly. See if you can pick it up.
Great ride today, Paige. And tell us a little bit about what it was like out there, how you were feeling, how the day played out, and what you're going to remember most.
Yeah, I mean, it was a beautiful course, first of all. Even through the suffering, I tried to enjoy it out there. A lot of climbing, I think close to a little under 14K of climbing. I was feeling really good. Was pushing the pace on the climbs a lot. Most of the day was riding. The top three women were together, me, Flavia, and Austin. But yeah, I just kind of couldn't match, Austin and some of the single track and, the power. It's just not comparable. So kind of got gapped maybe 50 miles, and then from there was kind of alone a lot of the time. Had a couple guys to ride with, and yeah, just kind of settled in and kept motoring, and yeah, I got second.
Did you catch that phrase? Yeah, the power's not comparable. Because he's a dude.
And she's out $5,000.
Karen and Beecher, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning. I'm old enough to remember that the rainbow was a sign from God, his promise to us. So yet again, we have another situation of a redefinition and a co-opting of a symbol, a Christian symbol. And I I'm so done and over with it.
Thanks for the call, Karen. Chuck and Delavan.
Hey, sorry I missed you Friday. I couldn't get through. Hey, he said his background was in lacrosse. Was he playing girls lacrosse or was he playing boys lacrosse? I was just
That's
wondering.
a good question.
Good question,
I
Chuck.
think he was playing boys lacrosse, don't you think?
Thanks for the call. If there was a professional league where he can make money, maybe there is, I don't know, then you know where he'd be now.
It's what Chicago is talking about. It's Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy on AM 560. The Answer.
Imagine for a moment an intense storm is pounding your house. Will your roof leak? Will the siding peel away? Will your basement flood? If your house is built and properly maintained, you'll be fine. What about your 401k or your investments? The stock market has had a great run the last few years, but is its current turmoil making you feel uneasy? Are you confident your portfolio is built to weather a financial storm? Now may be a great time to get a second opinion on your retirement plan. Call Scott Tucker and the team at Scott Tucker Solutions at 847-474-3888 or go to 560retirement.com. They'll examine your portfolio and show you if your investments are in need of some weatherproofing. Call Scott Tucker and the team at Scott Tucker Solutions today, 847-474-3888 or go to 560retirement.com to get your no-obligation second opinion. Don't let your retirement get caught in the rain. Call 847-474-3888 or go to 560retirement.com. Investment advisory products and services made available through AE Wealth Management, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Investing involves risk.
Turbulent times call for clear-headed insight. It's hard to come by these days, especially on TV. That's where we come in. The new Salem News Channel, the greatest collection of conservative minds, all in one place. Home to the people you trust. Dennis Prager, Mike Gallagher, Sebastian Gorka, and more. Refreshingly honest, always unfiltered. Streaming free on your TV 24/7. Intelligent analysis for intelligent people. Find what you're looking for at snc.tv. That's snc.tv.
Hey, I'm Raquel.
And I'm Babette.
Here to invite you to listen to our show, Belly of the Beast,
where we tackle all the hot topics and issues that you are talking about today.
So join us each week for our
hard-hitting,
fun,
informative,
topical,
out there
radio show where we leave nothing on the table.
Belly of the Beast, heard every Saturday evening at 7, right here on AM 560, The Answer. And follow us on Facebook at Belly of the Beast IL.
AM 560, The
Answer. Let's get Victor midway in on the conversation. Victor, go ahead. Hey, Victor.
Yes, hello?
Go ahead.
Yes, hello?
Go ahead, Victor.
It's an interesting conversation with a trans person. He did admit that they are looking for respect and notoriety, but he made a claim that them going into women's sports and dominating women's sports, they're actually trying to rebuild the American family structure. And I was like, really? What do you mean by that? And he's like, well, if we dominate women's sports, that'll push women back into more traditional morals as far as being caretakers and,
please
cooking,
keep us
cleaning,
in
and
the
stuff like
kitchen.
that.
Yes.
Right. That's an interesting.
This is what they're claiming.
Yeah, that's an interesting spin. That's not. Thanks for the call, Victor. That is a very interesting spin. It's going the other way, though. It's about destroying the traditional family. That's what they're actually about. For example, in California, there's a bill to redefine infertility to give men access to in vitro.
IVF, treatments.
So that's where it's actually going, separating procreation from men and women in a marital situation, which is where the leftists is going for a long time.
Today it's going to be breezy, showers this morning, still cool, a high of 66 degrees at 6 a.m. WIND Chicago.
He's going to plead not guilty. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That's former President Trump's plan when he goes to federal court in Miami this afternoon, telling the Howie Carr radio show he
did nothing wrong. Presidential Records Act. It's not even a criminal event. There is no criminality here. It's ridiculous.
He's facing 37 criminal charges, including obstruction of justice related to the classified documents he had at his Mar-a-Lago, Florida resort. Trump supporters showed up when he arrived in Miami, saying he's being targeted.
Right after he announced that he's running for the next presidential election, it just looks bad.
There was also a small group of protesters out there, some holding a lock him up sign. Law enforcement are increasing security here at the courthouse. Miami city officials say they have layered plans in place to deal with the crowds.
That's Fox's Jonathan Sari. They partied late into the night in Denver, celebrating this.
At last, the long wait is over. After 47 years, the Denver Nuggets can finally call themselves NBA champions.
The final call on ABC after the Nuggets beat the Miami Heat in Game 5 of the NBA Finals, but not far from the arena as people celebrated in Denver. Shots rang out. 9 people were injured, 3 in critical condition. The suspected gunman is in custody. In Ukraine, at least 10 people are dead in a new Russian missile attack.
The deadly attack also injured several dozen civilians when missiles hit a 5-story residential building in Kryvyi Rih. Rescue work is going on to get people out of the rubble. President Zelensky posted images from the scene on his Telegram social media channel. They showed pockets of fire in a damaged building, charred vehicles nearby.
Fox's Jonathan Savage. 22 U.S. military service members have been injured in a helicopter accident in Syria. The military says no enemy fire was involved. In Philadelphia, they've recovered the body of the truck driver killed when his tanker crashed, then burned in a fire that collapsed a section of Interstate 95 in Philadelphia. It'll take months to rebuild. America's listening to Fox.
55 degrees, gray skies right now. We've seen rain showers throughout the morning. 6:02 on AM 560, The Answer. Bond set at $2 million for an Elgin man charged in a crash that killed a teen couple in Hoffman Estates over the weekend. Denny Rubio has been charged with aggravated DUI, reckless homicide, and trying to disarm a police officer. Authorities say he told police he was drinking alcohol and using cocaine before the deadly crash. A trial is underway in Winnebago County for a man accused of murdering a Rockford mother and her 3 children about 7 years ago. Eric Jackson is accused of stabbing Keandra Austin to death in September of 2016, then setting fire to her home with her kids inside. Jackson is representing himself at the trial. Illinois will be the first state in the nation, according to the governor, to outlaw book bans.
Book bans are about censorship, marginalizing people, marginalizing ideas and facts.
Governor Pritzker. State Senator Jason Plummer, though, an outspoken critic of the law, says it takes away control from local elected officials and those who pay taxes for the library grants in the first place.
It deprives local taxpayers of the very revenue that they spend to support their local schools and libraries.
Grubhub is laying off about 400 corporate employees. The CEO of the Chicago-based food delivery platform says they need to remain competitive with other companies like Uber Eats and DoorDash. The Nuggets NBA champions beating Miami in Game 5 of the NBA Finals last night, and the White Sox are out west to begin a series with the Dodgers, while the Cubs are back home to take on the Pirates. The news a service of the AM 560 Advantage. Join today at 560theanswer.com/join. A check of traffic and weather is on the way next on AM 560.
The Sean Thompson Show.
See, Trump had some great qualities. The best foreign policy president in American history, exactly at the right time. He wanted peace. He wanted peace, he wanted prosperity, he wanted American strength. But the people who surrounded him were the scum of the earth. This is his big downside.
The Sean Thompson Show, weekday afternoons at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
Hi, this is Steve. I'm in Italy, away from my business. But I'm not worried about the office or my absence from it. I'm confident because I've got Turnkey on my side. They've helped me solve several problems for my business, so I can finally relax for a bit while I let the business work. Not only did Turnkey help with my IT problems, their expert team gave me a custom consultation that found additional profit centers in my company. They've helped me focus on a new direction for my business. It's not easy to relax when you own a business, but with our partnership with Turnkey, I feel confident, resolved, and ready to deliver. Now, I'm going to relax, have a Peroni, and depend on the direction Turnkey has helped me embrace. They can help your business too. Visit turnkey.pro to start a conversation today. That's turnkey.pro.
The pros at Turnkey share your values. They know IT and they know small business. They're Chicagoland's small business champions. Visit turnkey.pro to book your appointment today. That's turnkey.pro.
Hi, I'm Martha Stewart. Every year, more than 4 million pets enter shelters here in the United States. My friends at American Humane have been helping animals since 1877. The goal is to ensure that pets have a safe shelter, especially during natural disasters. Adopting a shelter pet allows shelters to help more animals awaiting care. Please consider adopting today and take some time to learn more about American Humane's other work at americanhumane.org.
There are more identity threats than you realize. Even if you monitor your credit, only a little personal info needs to leak out, like your social security number or password, for you to become a victim. LifeLock alerts you to threats you could miss. If your identity is stolen, a dedicated U.S.-based restoration specialist will work to fix it. No one can prevent all identity theft or monitor all transactions, but everyone can save up to 25% off their first year with promo code NEWS. Go to LifeLock.com.
Are you considering a unique way to enhance your investment knowledge this year? Then sign up today for the all-inclusive Eagle Financial Publications Cruise. Along with our trusted partner, The Money Show, we're setting sail this December to explore some of the most beautiful and unspoiled destinations in the Caribbean. But this is no ordinary vacation. It's a chance to learn from top Eagle financial experts like best-selling authors George Gilder, Mark Skousen, and others who will be hosting a series of workshops and seminars throughout the trip. Imagine lounging on the sun deck while discussing investment strategies with like-minded individuals, or enjoying a gourmet dinner at the same table with one of our leading financial authorities. This once-in-a-lifetime cruise is a perfect way to combine education and relaxation to achieve your investment goals. This cruise will sell out quickly, so visit EagleFinancialCruise.com today to learn more and to secure your cabin. That's EagleFinancialCruise.com. Eagle Financial is a division of Salem Media Group.
6:07, Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. We'll start on the south side in the Inglewood neighborhood where 69th Street, east and westbound, remains shut down between Union and Parnell for an investigation after a stolen vehicle crashed into a fire hydrant. 13 and 14-year-olds inside that vehicle taken to the hospital in critical condition. Weapons were recovered at that scene along 69. Bishop Ford jamming into the Ryan merge. The Ryan right now running at 16 minutes, 95th into the Burn Circle interchange. The Ike outbound jamming up between Harlem and Des Plaines Avenue due to an accident. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Clouds breezy and cool, passing shower this morning, followed by periods of rain today. The afternoon high 66. Showers this evening, otherwise partly cloudy late tonight, low 57. Morning shower in the area tomorrow, otherwise partly sunny, high 74. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Light rain and 57 at O'Hare. Next news at 6:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560 The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. This just came over the transom from our friend John Solomon at Just the News. One of the prosecutors who is serving as a deputy counsel to Jack Smith, special counsel. In a 2009 case, this woman, Karen Gilbert, was head of the U.S. Attorney's Office's narcotics division in Miami, and was attempting to prosecute a doctor for prescribing medications illegally. Gilbert and a colleague in the case launched a witness tampering investigation and got two witnesses to record conversations between the defendant's lawyer and the investigator. However, according to a ruling by the district court judge in the case, the pair failed to get authorization to tape the conversations and did not inform the defense team that the witnesses were cooperating with the government, thereby violating discovery obligations. She also didn't inform her bosses that the duo, her and her colleague, had launched the investigation in violation of office policy. When later asked about the matter at a sanctions hearing, meaning she was facing sanctions as an attorney. Apparently, she didn't get disbarred. Obviously, she didn't. She testified under oath. She thought she had asked for permission. She thought she did inform bosses. Did I not inform my bosses? I can never remember. Mm-hmm. The judge determined that Ms. Gilbert was grossly negligent in her treatment of the significant and unique witness tampering investigation against defense counsel, and there was no basis to have even started the probe. No basis to start a probe. Not disclosing what you're doing, violating the rule, the norms of due process, and literally the rules of evidence. Yeah, perfect deputy counsel. Perfect deputy counsel for Jack Smith. Boy, so we got this woman who's deputy counsel. We got an attorney for Trump's valet, who is not suggesting, he stated that the director of counterintel for the FBI mentioned his interest in a superior court judgeship in D.C. as essentially incentive to get his client to cooperate with the feds, which his client is not, which is why he's also under indictment with Trump. So that's a illegal inducement if that occurred, but the attorney stated that occurred. So you got that going on there. Back in Manhattan, we told you about this. One of the investigators in the Trump case that the DA there, Bragg, has brought against the former president is under investigation by the office for having an improper relationship with Michael Cohen. Somebody who has spent the last several years running his mouth about Trump, trying to take Trump down, trying to provide evidence. I mean, even though he's a disgraced, disbarred bottom feeder, nonetheless, it was Trump's call to make him a fixer. But regardless, so here again, I raise the specter of fruit of the poisonous investigation. Fruit of the failure to abide the canons, the rules of evidence, the norms of due process. The fruit of terrible judgment calls that were rooted in political targeting, not equal application of the law. Lee on the South Side, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yes. Good morning, y'all. This is what's completely ridiculous with the system. If I did this as a Chicago police officer, I'd be ruled not credible at best and giglioed at worst. I'd never be able to testify in a criminal trial ever again. My career would be over with, and that's if I didn't face any departmental sanction within the Chicago Police Department.
Right. Yeah, right. Thanks for the calling. And instead, Miss Gilbert is Jack Smith's deputy in a unprecedented prosecution of a former president, rather than doing traffic court in Miami, which is where she should be at best. Okay, sure. Nothing to see here. I got it. All the left's Law and Order types. Sure. Speaking of that, this was interesting. A little compendium of reactions from, all your standard issue leftists, all the representatives of all the coalition partners there to Trump's indictment. You want to hear some?
I'd
kind of
love
fun.
to. Yeah.
All right. Here is a baby boomer aged woman who has a Trump voodoo doll.
Oh.
Okay.
Another reason why Dan Proft is single.
I mean,
hey, we can combine the segments.
The derangement syndrome.
Yes. Oh, I want to hear this.
I can't even explain how I feel right now. That motherfucker fucker's been tormenting us for 8 fucking years. And it's about time he pays for his crimes. I feel joy and everything. Just,
3 F-bombs in less than 30 seconds and a voodoo doll.
That's a classy lady right there.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you find these little tarts?
So that's one. That's a good.
Okay.
That's basically like your Naperville housewife. That's what you just heard there. Middle-aged eunuch. That's a coalition partner. Here's one.
Can there be anything more satisfying on a deeply spiritual level than watching a man of obscene wealth and privilege who has used his power to hurt other people and to elevate himself, who's never known a day of need or want in his life, who has flaunted social norms and laws, manipulated the system because he can, suddenly experiencing inescapable, unavoidable consequences? I don't know if I'm ready for it, but it's coming for him. We're all gonna get to watch.
You're not. No cameras in the corner.
He would have gone on, but he had a yoga class.
Please tell me he had a man bun too.
And he did not.
Oh no.
Here's like your whatever the 21st century version of the Lincoln Park Trixie is.
Yeah.
Coalition partner.
I'm not here to make jokes about the Donald Trump indictment because it's not funny. And the things he's being charged with are very serious.
Very.
And in my personal opinion, he's screwed. I don't need to see or hear evidence that Donald Trump is guilty. I know Donald Trump is guilty because I know Donald Trump.
All right.
Oh, okay.
All right. I hope she's in the jury pool.
Yeah, me too. Let's get her in there.
All right. I don't need evidence. I know. I feel it. Well, you feel your feelings, doll. All right. Last one. Dad on the down low. Think
I'm like
Tim Kaine.
Tim Kaine. That's
Yeah. Dad on the down low, filming from the driver's seat of his Subaru Outback. With the coexist and I brake for plankton bumper stickers.
I brake for what?
Plankton. There you go.
If after you read this Donald Trump indictment and you read the texts and the transcripts and you see the photographs and you basically hear in his own words that he took he hid he told people not to give back, that he obstructed, that he conspired, if you hear it and see it in this evidence and you still protect and defend him and still call this a witch hunt, then you are just as corrupt, just as much of a traitor, and just as broken as he is.
I hope you heard that, AM 560 listening audience. Chris and Justice, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hello?
Hello.
Yes, my question is that the timeline that was used for the special prosecutor regarding this indictment was maybe like roughly 8 months. And my question is, doesn't that put pressure on the special prosecutor that's looking into the classified documents that were found in Joe Biden's garage, as far as kind of like a timeline where we should get some type of answer on that? Because, they were looking into, I believe he was appointed roughly 4 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
That's my question.
That's a good question. Do you think that they feel pressure?
Of course I don't, but
Right.
I'm saying that, reasonable people, reasonable people in the media are going to start asking that, because the way I look at it is that seems to be a lot less complex investigation than what Donald Trump's investigation would have been, because obviously there were documents in Joe Biden's garage, and clearly he didn't have the right to declassify what was there. And so it seems like it would be a lot simpler and quicker special counsel investigation than what happened with Trump.
Thanks for the call, Chris.
Yeah,
where we asked, where is Mr. Weiss from Delaware? Where is Mr. Herr from Maryland?
Well, Biden's people said they'll talk to the DOJ on their terms and when they're ready. Because Biden hasn't been.
That doesn't matter. That's non-responsive to the question. Where is Robert Hur? I mean, to Chris's point, it's a good one. We discussed this with Andy McCarthy. That Espionage Act, that Section 793 that Jack Smith is using in the Trump case. Well, all this willful business, as if you can accidentally retain documents you shouldn't retain. That's number one. But number two, even if you don't think you can establish something as willful, there's a provision in that section that references gross negligence. If you were grossly negligent, then you're implicated. And so I don't know how you can look at the willy-nilly storage of classified documents at the big guys' places, just as at Mar-a-Lago, and not conclude that if that provision applies to former President Trump, then would it also apply to current President Biden? And that's exactly was our discussion with McCarthy, and he agreed. So we'll see, but it is a very good point. We should be asking the question, where is Mr. Weiss in Delaware on Hunter? Where is Mr. Hur in Maryland on the big guy, at least as it pertains to the documents? And we should ask Merrick Garland, where is the special counsel for Biden Inc., the entire operation, particularly now, as we started the show with, that you have Senator Grassley telling us that the FBI informant who communicated with the Burisma oligarch says the oligarch has taped conversations between himself and both Bidens with respect to the alleged $5 million bribes for each.
17 such recordings, according to Grassley.
Right. Where is the Department of Justice, the special counsel who has been appointed, the U.S. attorney in Delaware, Merrick Garland? Those are good questions. Frank in Arlington Heights.
Yeah, good morning. Yeah, in response to your last caller, there is not going to be a response. There are three systems of justice. One for the regular people, one for Donald Trump and his nationalist supporters, and one for the globalist elites. And there's only one that, they're not going to do anything with that at all. And another point is, Tucker said the other day that there's over 1 billion pieces of documents that are classified. So that basically they can, hide everything. And we basically can't know anything. We need a president, and this is where I criticize Trump, is we need a president who can take on the bureaucracy. That's what we need. He wasn't able to do it in his first 4 years. He just put in all these people who weren't able to handle that. He didn't himself. He just, made a lot of fun of people and had a lot of good one-liners and didn't really do anything effectively.
But he wasn't supposed to be there. That was their whole thing. Trump's not supposed to be there. And it still makes me mad that the FBI during the raid took documents out that were supposedly classified and took pictures of it as if Trump was just carelessly, had these documents strewn across his floor in Mar-a-Lago. They did that.
Well, maybe he is trying to bring to light to a certain extent the ridiculousness of this whole situation. RFK Jr., in his opening statement in his campaign, talked about how you need a president who can take on the bureaucracy. And he's right about that. JFK wanted to break the CIA up into a million pieces or 1,000 pieces, whatever it was. And, this government is too big and too powerful and too oligarchic, too aristocratic.
Thanks for the call, Frank. Yeah, agreed. Well, and on the classified issue, we raised this with Dakota Wood from the Heritage Foundation yesterday. You think about this. Yes, we want to protect state secrets to some extent. But, honestly, after the last 40 years, from Fawn Hall to Sandy Berger to Clinton's sock drawer to Hillary's server to the classified to Reality Winner to Jack Teixeira. These are recent cases to the former president, the current president. I said, Are we really protecting these secrets from our enemies, or are we just protecting them from our taxpayers? And, Dakota Wood, who's, career Marine now at Heritage Foundation, kind of laughed and he said, yeah, basically, we're not really protecting them from our enemies. The level of sophistication that is attendant to technology, there's only so many things you can do in so many places and so many contexts, and the war gaming that goes on, especially with respect to the global powers of the world. You have a pretty good idea what you're going to do, if not even when you're going to do it. And by the way, there's a report that the Biden administration is preparing to evacuate Americans from Taiwan.
Yeah.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
When this is the sound of a waterfall in nature, there's no cause for concern. But when it's the sound of water gushing through your living room ceiling because a pipe bursts inside the wall, there's reason to panic unless you pick up the phone and call 1-800-SERVPRO. Only the cleanup and restoration specialists at ServPro can help make fire and water damage like it never even happened. So make the call to 1-800-SERVPRO at the first sign of water damage. Franchises are independently owned and operated.
Hi, I'm Test Director Rick from ServPro, the leader in cleaning, restoration, and construction. It's my job to make sure our pros are prepared for anything. Storm damage? Fixed. Flood damage? We're on it. Fire damage? Not anymore. Aliens? What aliens? We cleaned those sites a while ago. No matter the disaster, our pros will make it like it never even happened. Find out why ServPro is the #1 choice for residential and commercial restoration projects, large and small. Visit servpro.com today.
All right, tick-tock goes the clock. Our annual golf outing is right around the corner, a week from Thursday. And guess what? We still have 3 foursomes left, 2 in the afternoon and 1 in the morning. So get on this. What it is it's a win-win-win. You get to hang out with us and like-minded people. You get to play on a great golf course, the McRae Memorial Golf Club in Barrington on Thursday, June 22nd. It benefits the Tunnel to Towers Foundation, but also as a way of saying thank you. If you own or run a business, we will give you 25 one-minute commercials as a way of saying thanks. We'll also give you a marketing schedule and a digital package. So get on it sooner rather than later. Again, we have 3 foursomes left. Here's what you do. Go to 560theanswer.com/golf. That's 560theanswer.com/golf. Our event is presented by our friends at Signature Bank, but it's also sponsored in part by Breakthrough Ideas, Crosscom Public Adjusters, Joe Cotton Ford, Waukegan Roofing, ServPro, Mars Medical, KWCC Construction, Team Hochberg, and Wilkins Mazda. Again, go to 560theanswer.com/golf, and we will see you Thursday, June 22nd.
It's a big deal because your finances are a really big deal. Wintrust Community Banks would like to announce our newest and greatest 11-month CD rate with a whopping 5.35% APY. Act now and you can lock in 5.35%. Just go to wintrust.com/locknewrates and start earning more. Annual percentage yield accurate as of May 5th, 2023 and assumes funds remain on deposit until maturity. Minimum daily balance of 1 cent required to obtain APY. $1,000 minimum to open. New money only. Offer may change at any time and without notice. Member FDIC.
Feel like you're trying to push a boulder uphill wearing skates? If you run or manage a local business today, you're challenged like never before. We get it, and we want to help. We're Salem Surround. We're a full-service marketing agency that'll help you increase your customer base by designing incredibly effective plans to reach your consumers day, night, and everywhere they might be.
If you're a local business and want to see what Salem Surround can do for you, visit surroundchicago.com. Remember to visit surroundchicago.com today.
Think back to a time when you were doing a physically demanding activity and you wanted to keep going, but you just didn't have the energy to. Having the right nutrition can make a huge difference between energy and long-lasting energy. That's why it's so important to nourish our bodies with the right kind of fuel, and there's no better way of doing that than with fruits and vegetables. You can get the benefits of 31 whole fruits and vegetables by taking a few capsules of Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies. Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first order as a preferred customer. That's 1-800-246-8751. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
I've got some bad news for the left's child mutilation enthusiasts. And speaking of child mutilation enthusiasts, House Speaker Chris Welch, have you read the value statement of the private school where Chris Welch offspring attend? Timothy Christian? 636.
And later, now the FOP wants 12 weeks off for paternity leave, just like CPS, equity. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike.
55 degrees at 6:31, 10 killed in a Russian missile attack that slammed into an apartment building and a warehouse in the hometown of Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Denver police say 9 are injured after a shooting early this morning. A suspect in custody was also shot. 3 are in critical condition. That shooting took place about a mile from where the Denver Nuggets won their first NBA title last night. Police in Miami preparing for former President Trump's arraignment in federal court. Mayor Francis Suarez.
We had a lot of resources at our disposal that were very unique, in my opinion, in the country, and allowed us to manage things without hurting anyone and without unnecessarily large numbers of arrests.
And now there could be some tapes and a whistleblower claim into a Biden family bribery scheme investigation.
The foreign national who allegedly bribed Joe and Hunter Biden allegedly has audio recordings of his conversation with them. 17 such recordings.
Republican Iowa Senator Chuck Grassley on the floor of the Senate. New York City Mayor Eric Adams looking for another police commissioner following the abrupt resignation of Keechant Sewell yesterday.
We want to just really thank her for coming to our city, serving this city in the manner in which she did.
Sewell became the first woman in charge of NYPD. One person is dead after a tour boat capsizes in western New York.
And it did take some time to get him recovered and back to a safe location. Unfortunately, he had succumbed to his injuries.
Lockport Fire Chief Luca Quagliano. Fed watchers expecting the Federal Reserve to stop raising interest rates for the first time in 11 policy meetings following their 2-day meeting. Authorities in Philadelphia recovered a body along I-95 where a tanker caught fire over the weekend. That eventually led to the collapse of an elevated portion of the interstate Sunday morning. Bond set at $2 million for an Elgin man charged in a crash that killed a teen couple in Hoffman Estates over the weekend. Denny Rubio was charged with aggravated DUI, reckless homicide, and trying to disarm a peace officer. Chicago Police brass addressing the violence that struck the city over the weekend. Interim Police Superintendent Fred Waller.
We're applying what we learned these past few weeks to operations moving forward so we can continuously improve.
Authorities say 31 were shot over the weekend, including 4 who died. An employee at a Park Ridge private school for children with special needs is out on bond after being charged with predatory criminal sexual assault involving a child. Court records show Anthony Mesa's mother posted bail on May 24. Mesa was a support staff member at the Janine Schultz School since 2021. Denver NBA champions with a win over Miami 94-89 in Game 5 last night. Sox and Dodgers at Dodger Stadium tonight, while the Cubs are home to begin a series with the Pirates. The news, a service of MyPillow. Big news, brand new MyPillow 2.0, but now buy one, get one free with promo code LIBERTY. 2.0 is machine washable, dryable with a 60-day money-back guarantee. Visit MyPillow.com, use promo code LIBERTY. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dennis Prager says it's time to get informed.
Ignorance is a sin.
When bad things are happening, ignorance is willful. If you don't know what Disney is doing to everything associated with children, you have decided to tune out and let others fight.
The Dennis Prager Show. Weekdays at 11, right before Charlie Kirk at 1 on AM 560. The Answer.
Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables in a capsule, changing the world one life at a time.
Honey, I am like a different woman. I mean, finally one day I kept seeing that commercial and I said, what the heck, what do I got to lose? I started feeling a little bit better. I was doing more things. So I got my sister on them. I got my daughter on them. They couldn't believe the change in me. I can't say enough about them. I really can't. Those commercials that you all do is the truth.
Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first preferred order. That's 1-800-246-8751. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Guys, if you've noticed a lack of energy, motivation, and drive, it could be low testosterone. Schedule your complete health assessment at Low T Center. They now offer the convenience of monitored, self-inject, at-home testosterone treatments for $150 a month cash pay or covered by most health insurance. If you don't live near Low T Center or you just need the convenience of at-home treatment, Low T Center makes it easy to get started on treatment. Only your first 2 visits are in person. Go to lowtcenter.com now to book online. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
TV news. It's a love-hate relationship. Well, let's be honest. More hate. We agree. That's why we're different. Salem News Channel has assembled the greatest collection of conservative minds all in one place. Home to Charlie Kirk, Hugh Hewitt, Eric Metaxas, and more. There's finally a place on TV for lovers of freedom like you. Watch anytime on any screen, free 24/7. Find what you're looking for at snc.tv. That's snc.tv.
6:37 Team Hochberg Traffic Center time is a service of Verizon. Ready to take control of your phone plan? Well, then you better make that next turn into a Verizon store. Get exactly what you want and only pay for what you need. Get My Plan at your Verizon store today. Southside Inglewood neighborhood, east and westbound 69th remain closed. Accident investigation there. 5 teens and a stolen vehicle crashed into a fire hydrant early this morning. Several 13 and 14-year-olds have been transported to area hospitals in critical condition. Reagan Memorial on the I-88 toll road eastbound, an accident on the exit ramp to Highland Avenue. The Bishop Ford jams solid into the Ryan merge. The Ryan itself is at 20 minutes, 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. An accident on southbound 55 blocking 2 left-hand lanes between Renwick and US 30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. A breezy day. We've had showers this morning, followed by clouds and sun. We'll see that throughout the middle part of the day, and then a chance of rain again this afternoon, high of 66. We have sun and clouds and 57 right now. Next news at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. America First with Sebastian Gorka, today at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Bad news for child mutilation enthusiasts. New study published by Duke University Press, conducted in the UK by University of Alberta and University of Lancaster sociologists. Sexual orientation identity mobility in the United States, in the United Kingdom, rather. Analyzing data from the UK Household Longitudinal Study, 22,673 individuals, each observed twice. This research provides new population-wide evidence of sexual identity mobility in the United Kingdom. How many people who identify as LGBTQ? What's the new?
Plus 2 minus
the LGBTQQIP2SA.
2SA, that's right.
How many of those individuals change their minds? A total of 8.6% of people who identified as gay and lesbian in the first wave changed their identity to heterosexual by the second wave. That's roughly 6 years.
Okay.
Born this way? No social contagion at play. Really? Well, then how does 1 in 10 gay or lesbian person decide they're heterosexual within a 6-year period? The switch was even more dramatic within other LGBT categories. Among those who identified as bisexual, 44% changed their identity to heterosexual. Among those who identified as other, which includes trans, a total of 70% changed to heterosexual. Even among those who didn't want to disclose their sexual identity in the first wave, 62% identified as heterosexual by the second wave. So 70% of people who identified as trans or, Q plus whatever, in the first wave of the study stopped identifying as such and began identifying as heterosexual within a period of 6 years. Does that inform your support or opposition to the mutilation of children?
Here's a woman who transitioned to being a man. And I didn't realize how lonely it was, you guys, being a dude.
Nobody told me how lonely being a man is. I had closer friendships with random women I met in the bathroom before I transitioned at clubs because of how open women are than I've had in my 8 years of transitioning. Because women are just so much more vulnerable and deep than men. But to have known, and I think a lot of trans men feel this, is we knew what depth felt like before we transitioned. We knew what it felt like to have people want to hug us. And to have people want to talk to us. And to have a community. And then you transition and you're just a guy walking down the street that people cross the street so that they're not near you. And friendships are so much harder to build.
I had no idea it was so rough being a man. But that person transitioned 8 years ago and is now regretting it.
Ellen Page, the actress.
Yeah.
Who now
is what?
Mutilated herself, calls herself Elliot. Page started to crack. All of the self-hatred she'd been pushing down for years, the discomfort she felt in her body, the anger toward those who told her to repress her identity spilled out. One night she tried to knock herself out, took her knuckles to her face, and pounded over and over until bruises formed. For days after, she sat in a lawn chair on the porch, ashamed, her face sore, and then she heard a voice, "You don't have to feel this way." Now, that can be one of those she embraced her true self stories, or it can be a story of how do you, as a medical professional, know this about your patient and greenlight trans surgery for her, which happened just a few weeks after this incident? Are there mental health issues that perhaps need to be addressed before you put her under the knife?
Back in the day, you used to have to wait a year of counseling, and you had to go once a week.
The importance of this study out of the UK that speaks to fluidity, that speaks to social contagion. This shouldn't come as a surprise. There was a study several years ago that out of Brown University that found the same. I mean, how else do you explain the skyrocketing percentage of young girls in particular that identify on the gender identity spectrum as something other than heterosexual? It was, it's 1%, it's 2%, and then all of a sudden it's 20 this generation. Of course there's a social contagion aspect of it. Of course there's the pressure or the attraction to being popular and celebrated and focused upon. And then you get a little older and a little wiser, and you say, that's not the life I want to live. That was just me craving attention. But if you have a parent like Jazz Jennings, or if you have a parent named Charlize Theron, you get mutilated, and you get medical professionals to support it. Support it, conspire to accomplish it.
You can't get those body parts back.
Jeff in Cal City.
I just want your opinion on how many people you think are going to follow the science on this one.
Yeah, right. Right. So many people will even acknowledge the science. Thanks for the call, Jeff.
Right. Did you see what happened at the White House over the weekend when they had their trans pride parade? Or not parade, their big party on the White House lawn?
Yeah, where
you had a TikTok influencer. She got naked. She took her shirt off in front of children.
Why not? If it's good enough for your local library, your local grammar school, why isn't it good enough for the West Lawn? And by the way, that at that same event, Joe Biden said it's cruel and prejudiced to not support child mutilation. He didn't use those words, but that's what he means.
Surgery. Yeah, he said it's cruel if you don't allow it. Bernard Carrick wrote the best tweet. Who in the blank is running the White House and allowing this deviant garbage to go on right outside the Oval Office? We know it's not Biden. This dude has no idea where he is, so,
Okay. Thanks, Bernie. We'll take it from here. Chris Welch. He's the House Speaker. He's a child mutilation enthusiast and a girlfriend beater. No problem. I know. That doesn't matter to voters in West Central Cook County. Way to go, Proviso Township. Thumbs up. He sends his kids to Timothy Christian. Oh, he's the one who killed, along with Jelly Belly, the tax credit scholarship. So you can't send your kids, if you're lower income, mostly minority families, you can't send your kids to a private school. You don't get to go to Timothy Christian, but Chris Welch's kids do. I don't know where Matt Davidson's been. He's the principal there. We talked about him, played a clip when he decided to lead the charge back from the edge of the precipice during COVID and reopen the school.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
But on the tax credit scholarship and in this matter, he's been a bit silent. Yeah, now's not the time to be silent, especially if you're a man or woman of faith, especially if you're a man or woman in charge of an educational institution, especially if you're a man of the cloth. The mission, vision, and values of Timothy Christian. Timothy Christian schools believe that the term marriage refers to the uniting of one man and one woman in a single exclusive lifelong union as delineated in Scripture.
Does Chris Walsh know about this?
Timothy Christian believes that God wonderfully and immediately creates each person as male or female and acknowledges the rare intersex birth condition. The two complementary genders reflect the image and nature of God. We acknowledge the reality that sin has distorted the image of God in men and women, and mourn anyone's willful rejection of God's image in them. Timothy Christian schools believe that misconduct includes, but is not limited to, promiscuity, adultery, fornication, cohabitation, homosexual behavior, bisexuality, polygamy, bestiality, incest, transgender identity, gender nonconformity, non-binary gender conformity, use of pornography, or any other violation of the unique, distinct roles of male and female. Oh, my gosh.
Uh-oh.
Chris Welch, the House Speaker, is sending his child to an institution that promotes hate. Oh, heavens. What are we to do? What are we to do? Somebody please save Chris Welch's child from Timothy Christian, right? Or is it just all posturing? What are we going to do? What are you going to do? I mean, Timothy Christian may have to walk away. If they go the way of most institutions of faith these days, they may have to cut and paste the mission, vision, and values of these nuns of perpetual indulgence to replace their current mission, vision, and values. Fit in, like Bennett Academy would do, my high school. Like most of the Catholic schools have done under the stewardship of Cardinal Cupich. But no one wants to challenge Chris Welch? Where is the dogged Chicago Press Corps? How could you send your child to this intolerant institution that promotes the marginalization of already marginalized communities, targeted communities, minority communities, this patent discrimination, this white supremacy? I don't know. Why not throw that in there too? What's the difference? Chris Welch would if he was talking about an institution his child didn't attend. No? Nobody wants to take this up? Right. Because who speaks out these days about this, where it matters? The science and the data notwithstanding. Your common sense notwithstanding. Your sense of propriety notwithstanding. I understand that Chris Welch doesn't possess any of those things. He's a gutter slug, like most of the other legislators in Springfield that we elected, that you elected. Hey, and you know what? And if some kids have to get mutilated to protect me from taking any risks, from speaking up, well, that's just the price you pay. You know, I got to look out for myself. I have to look out for my own. I've got to play ball, right? I got to play ball. Got to work within the system. If some kids have to get mutilated, they have to get mutilated. It's just how it goes. All right.
You've made the switch, and it feels so good. You've switched to Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
When it comes to remodeling your home, are you picky, fussy, persnickety, particular, demanding, and just downright hard to please? Do you value quality over speed? Getting it done right over just getting it done? Well then, Mr. and Mrs. Persnickety, do yourself a favor and check out Forever Remodeling. That's the number 4everremodeling.com. To call us perfectionists would be understating our attention to detail. If you said we were OCD when it comes to creating spectacular kitchens, bathrooms, basements, and additions, we'd be guilty as charged. Forever Remodeling takes the time to meticulously get the job done exactly right. So if you're a stickler for details, if your standards are ridiculously high, then check out Forever Remodeling. We can promise you a best of the best of the best experience. Our number is 847-809-3355 or go to foreverremodeling.com. Foreverremodeling.com.
You can shed that fat, be slimmer for the summer. No more wearing cover-ups or T-shirts in the pool. NJ Diet will help you the natural way. No shots, no hormones, no surgery. You lose a contractually guaranteed 20 to 40 plus pounds in only 40 days with NJ Diet. They use your hair, saliva, and blood work along with bioregenetic scans to personalize natural solutions and supplements that get your body into the fat-burning zone so you can finally lose that weight. Then NJ Diet uses DNA info to help you keep it off. Best of all, it's contractually guaranteed. You're fully supervised the entire time to make sure you're burning fat, not just losing water. And you even get Dr. T's personal email and phone number. Dr. Turovets is Dr. T, and he's the founder. NJ Diet has locations close by in Skokie and Oak Brook or available from home with live online video consultations. Call 855-5-NJ-DIET or schedule your consult today at njdiet.com. That's njdiet.com.
Are you growing your manufacturing team this year and need new employees? Turn to Monarch Technical Services. They've been leading the Chicago staffing industry for manufacturing and engineering since 1987. You'll appreciate their vetting process. They meet every candidate in person to interview and test for specific skills. Monarch assesses experience by using blueprint, shop math, part measurement, and CNC program exams. Their quality skills assessor was once a plant manager who worked on manufacturing equipment, so he recognizes who has the skills to fit each job requirement. Monarch Technical now offers a 30-day free trial with any day one direct hire. This allows you to make sure direct hire employees are fitting in before fees are paid. And they have a unique payment option which allows the finder's fee to be paid in 6 equal monthly payments. So if you're growing your manufacturing team this year and searching for exceptional talent, contact Monarch Technical Services at 847-342-1221. That's 847-342-1221 or online at monarchtechnical.com. That's monarchtechnical.com.
All right, do you need more energy? Are you feeling sluggish toward the afternoon? Then try Balance of Nature. It's nature's fruit. It's nature's fruits and vegetables. 31 different fruits and vegetables in those capsules. A recommended dose is 6 capsules a day. I crack mine open into warm water, and voila, Justin's been taking it. He's got the energy he needs to get him through his busy day because, you know, that's the kind of guy he is. That's how he rolls because he knows he's not getting enough fruits and veggies at home. And neither are you. Be honest with yourself. Get more fruits and vegetables. Nature's energy. 800-246-8751. 800-246-8751 is the number to call. Use discount code Chicago or go online to balanceofnature.com. Discount code Chicago.
Are you turning 65 and thinking about Medicare? Or are you over 65 and haven't enrolled yet because you still have coverage at work? Either way, Medicare done correctly will be the best health insurance you will ever have. Imagine having nationwide access with an annual deductible of only $226. There are only 2 good things about aging, wisdom and Medicare. But to navigate the Medicare maze properly, you need a mentor. Best part, my guidance costs you nothing. Call me. I can help.
If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Medicare, then you need a local expert on your side. Your own health insurance mentor, C. Stephen Tucker from healthinsurancementors.com, is someone I know and trust. He's a 28-year licensed broker who's been educating our listeners for more than a decade. Steve, how can listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit healthinsurancementors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551. That's 630-674-1551.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We'll discuss eco-supremacists and forest fires, along with a new board game designed to make tackling climate change fun.
Ooh.
That sounds like perfect for family fun time. We'll talk to Bjorn Lomberg from the Copenhagen Consensus Center about all that at 7:07.
And later, Governor Pritzker's idiot detection system. Yeah, I don't know how well he was received at Northwestern University yesterday. Not too well. We'll play it for you. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
Bond set at $2 million for a man charged in a deadly Hoffman Estates crash. The FOP demands a 12-week paid parental leave scheme like teachers recently got. Trial underway for a man charged in a Rockford quadruple murder. White Sox visit the Dodgers, Cubs, and Pirates on tap. And WIND Chicago News Time, 7.
An arrest, a fingerprinting, then an arraignment.
I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That's what former President Trump will deal with today.
The sun is up in downtown Miami, as are some security barriers outside the Wilkie D. Ferguson Federal Courthouse, where former President Donald Trump is expected to make a first appearance in front of a magistrate to answer a 37-count indictment having to do with classified documents found at his home at the Mar-a-Lago Club.
That's Fox's Eben Brown. The former president tells the Howie Carr radio show he will plead not guilty.
It's ridiculous. And these people, look, they're using it as election interference.
And tonight he plans to hold a fundraiser as the former president remains the Republican frontrunner in the 2024 White House race. Democrats say he is not above the law. Republican Congressman Corey Mills tells Fox Business the indictment is a distraction.
So they can try and go ahead and conveniently bury the fact that Hunter, Joe Biden, and the Biden crime family are now having plausible evidence with the series of their LLC web chains on how they are laundering money for a pay-to-play scheme.
There is a bribery allegation Republicans are investigating, and a Ukrainian businessman claims to have recordings of then Vice President Biden and Hunter Biden. They waited a long time to do this in Denver. Celebrate a basketball championship. For the first time ever, the Nuggets won the NBA title after beating the Miami Heat in Game 5 of the Finals, 94-89. But not long after, about a mile away, shots rang out.
Denver police say 9 people are hurt, 3 of them critically. The man police believe is responsible for the shooting is one of the 6 people with non-life-threatening injuries.
Fox's Tanya J. Powers. 22 U.S. troops have been wounded in a helicopter accident.
U.S. Central Command said in a press release that the service members suffered various degrees of injuries during the incident Sunday in northeastern Syria and were receiving treatment.
Fox's Ted Linder. Actor Treat Williams has died in Vermont. He was 71. America's listening to Fox. 58 degrees at 7:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Bond set at $2 million for an Elgin man charged in a crash that killed a teen couple in Hoffman Estates over the weekend. Denny Rubio was charged with aggravated DUI, reckless homicide, and then trying to disarm a police officer. He later told police he was drinking alcohol and using cocaine before the deadly crash. The head of Chicago's biggest police union is demanding his members receive 12 weeks of paid parental leave, just like teachers. John Catanzara with the FOP saying teachers were granted parental leave by Mayor Johnson without a single bargaining session, so they should expect the same. Illinois will be the first state in the nation to outlaw so-called book bans.
Book bans are about censorship, marginalizing people, marginalizing ideas and facts.
State Senator Jason Plummer says it's offensive to take away public funding from those who paid taxes for the library grants in the first place.
It deprives local taxpayers of the very revenue that they spend to support their local schools and libraries.
Former Illinois Governor Bruce Rauner honored in Springfield.
My hair has not come back. It's continued to run away. I've gained back most of the weight, so that's good. I don't have any stress in my life anymore, so it's been a little easier.
The Republican in town yesterday as his portrait joined the Hall of Governors at the Illinois Capitol, painted by Chicago artist Richard Halstead. Nuggets 2023 NBA champions. Alex English, Dan Issel and company, happy about that. White Sox heading out to start a series with the LA Dodgers, while the Cubs return home to begin a set with the Pirates, Jameson Taillon on the hill. The news, a service of Dan and Amy 24/7. Listen now, Dan and Amy247.com. And a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher says we have bigger fish to fry.
I almost fell off the couch. Do you know they're changing the names of all these military bases that have Confederate generals in the title? Like Fort Benning in Georgia, changing the name. There's like 5 or 6 military bases. That's what we're worried about? And this is what the Democrats sit around and worry about?
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Hi, I'm Martha Stewart. Every year, more than 4 million pets enter shelters here in the United States. My friends at American Humane have been helping animals since 1877. The goal is to ensure that pets have a safe shelter, especially during natural disasters. Adopting a shelter pet allows shelters to help more animals awaiting care. Please consider adopting today and take some time to learn more about American Humane's other work at americanhumane.org.
The internet can be an all-you-can-eat buffet for identity thieves.
So full.
Too many maiden names.
And social security numbers.
Where'd you find those?
By the password bar. Can't miss them.
LifeLock alerts you to identity threats you could miss by monitoring your credit and bank statements. If your identity is stolen, a dedicated U.S.-based restoration specialist will work to fix it. No one can prevent all identity theft, but everyone can save up to 25% off their first year with promo code NEWS. Go to LifeLock.com.
Think back to a time when you were doing a physically demanding activity and you wanted to keep going, but you just didn't have the energy to. Having the right nutrition can make a huge difference between energy and long-lasting energy. That's why it's so important to nourish our bodies with the right kind of fuel, and there's no better way of doing that than with fruits and vegetables. You can get the benefits of 31 whole fruits and vegetables by taking a few capsules of Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies. Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first order as a preferred customer. That's 1-800-246-8751. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
.706. Let's get an update on the roads in our Team Hochberg Traffic Center, a service of MyPillow. Big news, brand new MyPillow 2.0. Now buy one, get one free with promo code Liberty. Visit MyPillow.com and use promo code Liberty. 8094 accident reported on the right-hand shoulder. It's westbound between I-65 and Burr. Reagan, accident on the exit ramp to Highland Avenue, gumming up the works this morning. Dan Ryan, we're looking at 18 minutes, 95th into the Burn Circle interchange. I-55 southbound between Lockport Road and US 30. There's an accident with two left-hand lanes blocked. Travel time on the Stevenson is at 53 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. The Eisenhower and earlier crash near Des Plaines removed out of your way, but those delays remain. 54 minutes from 390 into the old post office. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Cloudy passing shower this morning, periods of rain this afternoon, high today 66. Some rain this evening, otherwise partly cloudy late, low 57. Morning shower tomorrow, then partly sunny, the high 74. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Clouds and breaks of sunshine, 57 at O'Hare. Next news at 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560 The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Here is every useful idiot eco-supremacist activist. This British woman who excoriates a dude for having his car engine run.
Yeah, so that's you. You're sitting in the car with the engine running, you're polluting the atmosphere. That is a crime now.
How is it a crime?
Because you are sending untold nasty emissions of poison all over this area.
What, really?
You shouldn't be allowed.
Am I really?
Yes, you are really. Really, as you live and breathe, as you're talking to me now, you are sitting there with your engine running.
And you're sat there with a hat.
Atmosphere.
And you're sitting there, and you're standing over there with a hat on. I'm not complaining about that, am I?
Well, that might be a crime against fashion, but it's certainly not a crime as in the police are going to get me, are they?
Okay, so what? You're going to call the police because I'm just sat in my car?
You're sat in your car with your engine running. If you were sat in the car with your engine off, I wouldn't say anything about it.
But love, it's an electric car, though.
I would just go off my way and, enjoy my afternoon rather than engaging in a pointless conversation with you.
No.
Although I hope it's not pointless, because I'm hoping that you're going to turn that bloody engine off.
Love, it's an electric car.
No, you've got a child in the back there.
Love, it's an electric car.
Do you know what you're doing to that child? You've got the window open, talking to me, as you would, of course.
But I'm saying it's an electric car, though.
It's not an electric car.
It's an electric car. Love, there's no emissions coming out of it.
What are you pointing at that for? What's that?
No.
What is that? What? Oh, so that tells me it's an electric car.
You're touching my car now. What? You've got the right.
All right.
You've got the right to invade into my finger.
I'm not going to touch your car again.
Thank you.
I'm just telling you. You can't just point to that insignia, which I've never seen before,
and
tell me that
Tesla.
that's an electric car.
But it's an electric car. There's no emissions.
That suits you, doesn't it?
But
Okay, so it's a very quiet engine. It is really quiet. I'll give you that. It's quiet, but it's silent but deadly.
So
it is silent but deadly. Those poisons,
there
those gases,
is no engine.
they can't be seen.
There's no engine.
Look, just listen to me, all right?
I'm listening.
You listen to me.
All right.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah. Can we have a decent, peaceable conversation, please?
Yeah.
I'm just trying to explain to you.
Yeah.
Right, you see, there are things that you can't see, right?
Yeah.
Gas is one of them.
Yeah.
Poisonous
Learned that in
gas
fifth
is
grade
something that you
folklore.
can't see,
Yeah.
all right?
Yeah.
You can't see it.
Yeah.
And it's poisoning. You see, these people here,
Yeah.
they agree with me, you see.
What? Oh,
they
they
agree
really?
with me. They do, yeah.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is that this is there's no emissions. Well.
Picture of you and all.
As exhausting as that was to listen to,
Yes, it was.
That's what it's the every eco-supremacist activist. Ironically, of course, if she actually knew what she's talking about, and he knew what he was talking about, we could talk about the fossil fuels required to make the lithium batteries in those Teslas. But regardless, that wasn't the point she was making. The point is she didn't recognize what a Tesla was. She doesn't understand the emissions difference between an electric vehicle like a Tesla and your standard issue combustion engine. But okay, I'll tell you, what she'd be fun to do?
What?
Fun to have her do with you, with us?
What?
Play a game of Daybreak.
What is Daybreak?
Maybe for Father's Day. It's right around the corner. Daybreak is set to launch after years of development to tackle how to bring the world together to combat climate change. The game designer, Matteo Menapace, we felt we can use games to talk about climate change, to model the big problem in a way that's playable, that's understandable by players in a way that gives people agency over their choices. Sure, board game. In my day, it was Risk. Today, it's not playing against each other. It's playing collaboratively to come up with a solution that reduces emissions and addresses this scourge of climate change. And the whole group loses if any player has too many communities in crisis from the impacts of climate change. That sounds like a fun Saturday night with the family, doesn't it? For more on these fun people, we're pleased to be joined by Bjorn Lomborg, president of the Copenhagen Consensus think tank, author of the recently released Best Things First. Bjorn, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Hey, Dan. It's great to be back.
I understand you try to keep it high-minded and such, but, real people have to deal with these professional scolds like that woman in the parking lot who decided to accost that dude in his Tesla for running his Tesla. They get a little off-putting, to say the least. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yes. But look, and Dan, maybe I'm just an internal optimist, but, I think it is worth pointing out that, this woman and many others, they fundamentally want to do good. Now, they may be misapplied, they may be focused on the wrong thing, but in some ways, it's great that people want to do good. What we just need to have a conversation about is how do you actually do that? Both on climate change. Look, it is a real problem, and there are smart ways to fix it. Unfortunately, we're spending almost all of our money on not fixing it smartly. But it's also important to remember there are lots of other problems in the world, like, lots of people just not being able to sustain their kids, not enough food. They don't have enough education. I mean, they die from easily curable infectious diseases. Because we focus so much on a few things like plastic straws and all these other things that make it into the news, we often forget all the other things that are incredibly important. So, I want to use all the facts that people care about the world, but then say, all right, how can you do it best? And not surprisingly, that's actually what my new book, Best Things First, is all about.
Well, this recent crisis with respect to the forest fires in the West, up into Canada, the Northeast, up into Canada. Tom McClintock, who's a congressman from California, writes about preventing forest fires. This is from, 5 years ago, but it just repeats itself over and over again every year. He writes, for much of the 20th century, harvesting excess timber produced thriving forests by matching tree density to the ability of the land to support it. Foresters designated surplus trees, and loggers bid for the right to remove them at auction, with the proceeds going to the U.S. Treasury. But in the 1970s, Congress passed a series of laws subjecting federal land management to time-consuming and cost-prohibitive environmental regulations. Instead of generating revenues, forest management now costs the government money. As a result, timber harvested from federal lands has declined 80%, while acreage destroyed by fire has increased proportionally. The environmental left blames climate change, yet this doesn't explain the dramatic difference between federal lands and private forests that practice scientific forest management. The boundary lines can often be seen from the air because of the condition of the forests. How clever of the climate to decimate only the lands hamstrung by these environmental laws. The management of our natural resources as well, a topic the left doesn't want to discuss. They just want to impose regulations that are going to bring Mother Nature to bear, as it were.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Look, fundamentally, we know that a very large part of the reason why we have localized fire problems is because there's much more fuel. Part of this is actually a good outcome of the fact that global warming is caused by CO2, which actually is also a fertilizer, which create a lot more green stuff. The world is much greener today than it used to be because of CO2. That should be a positive, but it also means we have a lot more flammable material left over, and that leads some places to have much more fire. For instance, in California, absolutely we should have much more prescribed fires. We should also have better zoning. Everybody wants to build out where it's essentially a tinderbox, and then we're surprised that afterwards you see more houses going up in fire. But the reality is, if you look at this on a global level, we have good data since 1997 from satellites. We've seen a dramatic decline in the area that's actually burning every year. Why? Because people are smart. People actually know how to adapt, and people know how to avoid fire. This does not mean, again, global warming is not a problem, but it means that we use this fear and make everybody scared about the wrong things, and that obviously means we end up spending lots of resources ineffectively trying to deal with something like fire, whereas what we really should be doing is look at where can we find the smart, easy, simple wins. And we seem to not have that conversation enough. And we certainly should have, both on climate, do better zoning, do preventative fires, and then you're in many ways much, much better off. But also remember all the other problems. We need to make education much better around the world. We need to make tuberculosis a thing of the past. We need to focus on these simple things that we can fix where we, for little money, can make the world much, much better. I think everyone, also on the left, would agree on this.
Well, what about the UN? I mean, they came together recently and they set these big goals, 17 goals. Are they reaching any of those goals?
No. I mean, they're literally telling us now that we're not going to achieve almost any of them. So, this is standard fare for politicians. You promise everything and then you don't actually deliver because, it's far down the line. And that's why I wrote the new book, Best Things First, basically to say, look, there's a lot of stuff that's really hard, really complicated, incredibly expensive, and doesn't deliver very much good. Maybe we shouldn't do those policies first. Maybe we should instead deliver some of these very, very simple policies. So let me just give you one example. About 500 million kids right now are in primary school in low and lower middle income countries. So, fundamentally the poor half of the world. And they're learning virtually nothing. We have the technology. We know how to actually make them much more productive, make them learn much more. This is basically called learning according to your level. For instance, put them in front of a tablet. It's not their tablet, but put them in front of a tablet 1 hour a day with educational software. That'll teach the kids exactly at their level and teach them 3 years of schooling for every 1 year you have them go through, mostly boring school, but 1 hour a day actually with a tablet. This will cost $10 billion, not nothing, but compared to most other things, very, very small change, and it will make the world about $600 billion better off. This is just, a no-brainer. We can do $65 of good for every dollar spent. And basically I'm trying to make the argument of saying, instead of worrying about stuff where you will spend lots of money and deliver almost no good for the world, shouldn't we focus first on the places where you can spend a little money and do amazing good?
The challenge, of course, is that these systems you're describing are really not outcome focused; they're input focused.
No.
Yes. And so it's a mentality change that has to happen, or a management change, or some combination of the two, and that's, of course, a political question.
Sure, but you could also argue. I mean, right now most climate change campaigners are arguing we should all learn to live with less and be a little poorer and freeze a little more. So I think it's a little easier to get people in, for instance, the educational sector to say, how about we do stuff that'll actually improve educational outcomes? Again, I don't think this is terribly revolutionary. It's just simply stop people from doing the things that cost enormous amounts of money. For instance, Indonesia a decade ago doubled teacher wages, which obviously not surprisingly made teachers incredibly happy, but it didn't actually improve educational outcomes at all. And so again, instead of trying to do stuff that doesn't work, but of course is politically popular, let's try to do something that costs little but has huge impacts. And we know this. So we highlight 12 great areas where, and just get this, for about $35 billion a year. So, for the whole world, this is not a whole lot of money, but it's not nothing. $35 billion a year. We could make the poor half of the world $1.1 trillion richer each and every year. And we could save 4.2 million lives each and every year. This is possibly the best thing we could possibly do in the world for this decade. And so I'm simply saying, shouldn't we first focus on that?
I mean, it's funny.
You're sold.
Well, I mean, it's funny. The things that don't work in Indonesia don't work in Chicago or L.A. or New York either. It has nothing to do with the location. It has to do with the system, the approach. It's something else I wanted to get to too. I mean, this is sort of a recurring problem, but this is part of what needs to be addressed in order to change the mindset here. Because of course people selectively are men and women of science and data when the science and data comports with what they would like to see occur or what their position is. But on this whole wildfire business, the EPA. This is from Steve Malloy, who writes at junkscience.com, and he was part of the EPA transition team under Trump. EPA has something called PM 2.5, which is a way to measure fine particulate matter, they say. They developed this in the 90s. They claim there is no safe level of PM 2.5 that can be inhaled. Inhaling PM 2.5 can kill you within hours of inhalation. About 1 in 5 deaths in the United States are caused by PM 2.5. They've spent 3 decades, billions of dollars inventing this measurement system. And it just is not true. For example, PM 2.5 modeling, New York's death rate should have been about doubled on June 7th and 8th, but not a single death occurred that was or could be attributed to the atrocious air as a result of the fires. even the backup expectation of an epidemic of asthma failed based on emergency room visits. And it just goes again. We have this model. We are men and women of science and data, but the models are consistently wrong. They consistently don't reflect the reality that we experience, and the models don't go away. We just don't talk about the experiences, or they get shunted aside because there are, of course, greater goods to be pursued, like developing the next PM 2.5.
So I actually, again, I'm a statistician, I'm a social scientist. I haven't done these models. I know a lot of the people who have. My understanding is they're pretty much right. I don't recognize the idea of saying that it should immediately kill people. This is something that happens over the very long term, and I certainly don't expect that this would be true that it kills every fifth, cause every fifth death in the U.S. But, air pollution is not a trivial problem, as I understand it.
Right.
But again, it's important to recognize because we've gotten richer, we've dramatically reduced air pollution, and that's a good thing. We should try to do that, and one of the ways we've done that is put scrubbers on smokestacks. We put catalytic converters in cars. We know how to do a lot of this, and it's actually a smart and simple thing to do. What we should, of course, remember is for most of the world, air pollution is much, much worse, not because of outdoor air pollution, but because really poor people use dung, cardboard, wood, whatever they can get their hands on, and cook and keep warm indoors with really, really terrible fuels. And so the World Health Organization actually estimate that the average indoor air pollution for about 3 billion people in the world is equivalent to about 20 times the average air pollution in New Delhi or Beijing. These are really terrible levels. It's like smoking a pack of cigarettes every day. So again, we need to get a sense of proportion, and I think that's where we're forgetting what is it we want. Well, we want clean air, we want cleaner water, we want smarter kids, we want better education, we want lots of things. We need to prioritize, and we should do that smartly by looking at how much does it cost and how much good can an extra dollar deliver. And that's one of the things I've been trying to do with Best Things First. Basically say, look, there are some places where you can do amazing good. There are some places where you can waste a lot of money and do almost no good. Let's start with the smart stuff first.
Well, this is, and I totally agree. And this is always the challenge. And this is why you and Patrick Moore, co-founder of Greenpeace, and people like Michael Schellenberger, at least the Michael Schellenberger 2.0, are so important because, we're conservative. I'm conservative. That means conserve things, including, what God has bestowed us in terms of our environment. And yes, we have clean air, clean water. This is a threat, right? Nobody's pro air pollution. Nobody's pro dirty water. But you just can't have a reasonable conversation with people who are running around saying the combustion engine is a greater threat to Western civilization than nuclear weapons, which the left has been doing for 30 years. It's just very difficult, which is why your moderating voices are so important, although I don't think they're winning the day yet.
Not yet. But look, this is not about winning the conversation as much as just simply getting people to realize, oh, wait, maybe I can do it slightly less stupidly. If we can sort of move the conversation a little bit towards being smarter with our resources and more smartly focused on where we can really make a huge deal. I think that would be an amazing outcome. This is not, we're never going to fix all of these problems, but we're going to make it better.
Yeah. Slightly less stupid that seems to be a reachable goal. I think that's reasonable.
It is.
Bjorn Lomborg, president of the Copenhagen Consensus think tank, author of the recently released Best Things First, which he was just discussing. Pick up Best Things First, Bjorn Lomborg. Bjorn, thanks as always. Appreciate it.
Great to talk to you.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. Your business and your money are in good hands with Signature Bank. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Dan Migatz, co-owner and CFO of AM Woodland Outdoor Design in Mundelein, and a new customer of Signature Bank. We specialize in the creative design and construction of outdoor living spaces, providing our residential and commercial customers first-in-class landscaping services. Our company was founded as a one-man operation and today has grown into a multifaceted, one-stop shop for outdoor and indoor design and contracting needs. Signature Bank was there to provide the capital needed to grow our expansion efforts. We wanted to work with a bank that understands our business and is relationship focused. Signature Bank is what a relationship bank is all about. We're excited to continue our partnership for many years to come.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Let Signature Bank turn your business vision into reality. Visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Think back to a time when you were doing a physically demanding activity and you wanted to keep going, but you just didn't have the energy to. Having the right nutrition can make a huge difference between energy and long-lasting energy. That's why it's so important to nourish our bodies with the right kind of fuel, and there's no better way of doing that than with fruits and vegetables. You can get the benefits of 31 whole fruits and vegetables by taking a few capsules of Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies. Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first order as a preferred customer. That's 1-800-246-8751. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Northwestern University is in the news, so what must be happening, Amy?
Your degree is, the value of your degree is declining.
Correct. We'll start there with Ted Dabrowski at 7:37.
But now let's head into that newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
57 degrees, clouds and sunshine right now after early morning rain. Former President Donald Trump is expected to be leaving New Jersey later today following his historic arraignment on federal charges, and then heading to Florida, where Fox's Eben Brown is in Miami.
The city blocks outside the Wilkie D. Ferguson Courthouse in downtown Miami are still pretty empty. There is some morning traffic. There are throngs of news crews, and there are some security barriers, but there are no protesters, not people demonstrating in support of the former president or against him, although police here in Miami are expecting larger crowds later today. The former president's court appearance is not until 3 p.m. Eastern. In Miami, Eben Brown, Fox News.
Nearly 24 U.S. service members are injured after a helicopter accident in Syria on Sunday. The military is not providing many details on the incident, but 10 of the 22 were sent to medical facilities outside the region. Denver police now say 10 are hurt after a shooting this morning following the NBA final clinching contest in Denver. Fed watchers are expecting the Federal Reserve to stop raising interest rates today for the first time in 11 policy meetings. Authorities in Philadelphia have recovered a body along I-95 where a tanker caught fire over the weekend. Johns Hopkins civil engineer Thomas Gurney says it will be difficult to estimate a timeline for fixing that collapsed roadway.
In past bridge fire accidents, they were able to act relatively quickly and reopen those busy intersections within sometimes 4 to 8 weeks.
Previous bridge fire accidents, roadways have been able to open within a month or so. A Utah mother who killed her husband and then wrote a children's book about grief will remain behind bars for now. Summit County judge denying bond for a request from Corey Richens in court Monday, saying the case against her is too strong to warrant her release. Bond set at $2 million for an Elgin man charged in the crash that killed a teenage couple in Hoffman Estates over the weekend. Denny Rubio was charged with aggravated DUI, reckless homicide, and then trying to disarm a police officer. Trial underway in Winnebago County for a man accused of murdering a Rockford mother and her 3 children 7 years ago. Eric Jackson is accused of stabbing Keandra Austin to death in September of 2016, then setting that house on fire while her children were still inside. Longtime host Pat Sajak leaving the Wheel of Fortune next year. The Chicago native announcing on Twitter that the 41st season of that show will be his last. St. Jack, as you may know, is a Columbia College and Farragut High School grad. He's hosted Wheel since 1983. Not bad for a front desk clerk at the Palmer House Hilton. Chicago sports. Denver NBA champions, White Sox and Dodgers tonight, and the Cubs return home to start a series with the Pirates. The news, a service of Salem Surround. Go to surroundchicago.com today. And a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Charlie Kirk always gives you the hard facts.
They wanted to use the 14th Amendment to increase the debt ceiling. No negotiations. We're not going to talk about anything. The government is 40% bigger than it was pre-COVID. The Leviathan, the beast, the bureaucracy, the fourth branch of government is 40% bigger. Is your family income 40% higher? Is your family wealth 40% higher?
The Charlie Kirk Show. Afternoons at 1, right before Sebastian Gorka at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
It's Reveille. As Father's Day approaches, why not recall former President Barack Obama's words? Here are some excerpts from a speech that he gave on the occasion of Father's Day in June 2008 while campaigning for president. Quote, "Of all the rocks upon which we build our lives, we are reminded today that family is the most important, and we are called to recognize and honor how critical every father is to that foundation. If we are honest with ourselves, we'll admit what too many fathers are is missing from too many lives and too many homes. They have abandoned their responsibilities, acting like boys instead of men, and the foundations of our families are weaker because of it. You and I know how true this is in the African American community. We know that more than half of all Black children live in single-parent households, a number that has doubled since we were children. We know the statistics. The children who grow up without a father are 5 times more likely to live in poverty and commit crime, 9 times more likely to drop out of schools, and 20 times more likely to end up in prison. They are more likely to have behavioral problems or run away from home or become teenage parents themselves. And the foundations of our community are weaker because of it. But we also need families to raise our children. We need fathers to realize that responsibility does not end at conception. We need them to realize that what makes you a man is not the ability to have a child, it's the courage to raise one." End quote. It is doubtful Obama would speak such truths today. Such words are anathema to his Democrat Party. But fathers everywhere should. Time for them to speak up against schools that want to take away parental authority and politicians that want to pretend that manhood and fatherhood are not uniquely required for society to flourish. I'm Jeannie Ives. Happy Father's Day to the fathers out there. Changing public policy begins by being informed. Sign up for my newsletter at breakthrough-ideas.com. That's breakthrough-ideas.com.
There are over 10,000 reasons why steel is not sold at Lowe's or the Home Depot. There are over 10,000 authorized local steel dealers. Find yours at steelusa.com. Lowe's and the Home Depot are trademarks of their respective companies.
7:37 Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Inbound Edens, 30 minutes. Lake Cook Road to the junction. Kennedy inbound right now is at 70 minutes. O'Hare to the Burns Circle interchange. Kennedy outbound right now, back out to the big airport in 41. Ike, about 65 minutes, 390 into the old post office, while the Stevenson right now settling in at about 47 from 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Dan Ryan inbound 24 minutes, 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Breezy. We've had showers this morning and a few breaks of sunshine. More showers are expected later this afternoon. We'll top out at 56. Right now, 57. Next news at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson.
Insert Democrat socialist here.
Runs the Democratic House floor for 30 plus years running. He's promising this and he's stealing that. Where can you get that kind of money? He's using your house like his own piggy bank. You ought to know by now. You can pay off your house here in Illinois, but you can never keep up with the taxes. Oh, how it's always been the plan to have a taxpayer pay, no doubt. Not a matter of if anymore, but when you're moving out. I said, when you're moving out.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. That song meets its theme music, really. It means it's time for our weekly confab with Ted Dabrowski, president of wirepoints.org, all things Illinois policy related. Before we get to Ted, Jelly Belly was at Northwestern. Well, of course, he gave enough money to the law school and the med school. The family did. Why not?
Did you ever pass the bar? I don't even know if he took it.
Northwestern Law, Georgetown undergrad, I think, for Jelly Belly. Anyway, he was there to get Steve Carell's autograph or what?
Well, Steve Carell's daughter graduated yesterday, was among the crowd when he spoke at the law school graduation. And he was trying to be funny. He literally got up there and said, I know you guys would rather hear from Beyonce.
He's so hip. He's so
I
current.
mean, it was so cringe. And then
Right.
he kept talking about The Office, probably because Steve Carell was there, about, would an idiot do that? That's from the character Dwight, And but then he got a little ugly, It turned ugly. Guess who he ripped on? Just guess. President Trump and others. But I don't know if the crowd liked it.
Whenever I'm about to do something, I think, would an idiot do that? And if they would, I do not do that thing. Dwight Schrute. The entire efficacy of this incredibly useful piece of information hinges upon your ability to pick the right idiot. I wish there was a foolproof way to spot idiots, but counterintuitively, some idiots are very smart. They can dazzle you with words and misdirection. They can get promoted above you at work. They can even be elected president.
Yeah, and then he went on to say, too, later that, gender-affirming surgery will never be banned in the state of Illinois.
Yeah, Northwestern Law School, speaking of which, one of its admittees is a dude named Ishani Chokshi, trans, of course, who they gave... Northwestern Law gave this guy his own law journal, which published his screeds likening judges' gavels to dildos. Last month, a year after he graduated, that was last year, a law journal published a legal paper, quote unquote, by him that detailed his purported sexual escapades with 7 men. The Northwestern Law's Journal of Criminal Law and Criminology published an article entitled Of Law and Men, attributed to Bad Gal Tranny, which is an alias of this guy, Ishani, in which he wrote, I, an Indian-American transgender woman, share stories of my sexual escapades with 7 Trump supporters. Northwestern's Law Journal of Criminal Law and Criminology published this. Among his demonstrations of the keen legal mind he possesses during his time, in August 2021, the Northwestern University Law Review, its most competitive journal, as the Law Review is at any law school, published an article by this guy, Ishani, in which he explained how he argued a mock case by saying, quote, in closing, I would like to note that I am a trans woman of color, and so you should decide for me. That's now a legal argument. Maybe Trump needs a trans woman of color,
right,
to defend him. So when he gives his closing, he can say, I'm a trans woman of color, decide for me, just like Ishani said. This guy is a mess. And more than that, if that's not obvious, the lack of academic rigor, subordinating that to identitarianism. Speaking of the lack of academic rigor, perfect segue for Ted Dabrowski to join us. Ted, thanks for being with us as always.
Good morning, Dan. Good morning, Amy.
Speaking of lack of academic rigor and how that impacts marginalized communities, to use the left's lingo, that study you guys published about the reading and math proficiency of Latino students in CPS, how's that being received by CPS and at high schools like Juarez?
Well, it was funny. We actually did the press conference outside of Benito Juarez, just for people who didn't get to see the study. So, we looked at how well the Hispanics were doing in CPS, because, they are almost 50% of the entire school. So think about that. That's becoming almost a Hispanic dominant school. And not only that, but Hispanics are the fastest growing demographic in Chicago. So if you think about Chicago's future, you better be thinking about, how today's Latino students are doing, because they're going to be a big part of the future of Chicago. And when you look at it, right, it's the typical results we've talked about. Just 17 out of every 100 kids can read at grade level across the entire system, and just 12 out of 100 can do math at grade level. But in the Benito Juarez, where we held a press conference to talk about this report, there's 1,700 students at this Benito Juarez community high school, and only 70 can read at grade level, and only 46 of them can do math at grade level. Those are phenomenal numbers for a 1,700 kid school. So, we're there to hit on CPS failing the Hispanic kids. What's interesting is that we got some coverage from Telemundo, from Univision, and also from Fox 32 and WBBM. So there was some interest in that, and I think it's because the numbers are so bad. Of course, CPS pushed back and said, "Hey, look, we're just like every other big city, right? We have the same results as other big cities, so no big deal." And also, we had the pandemic, so it's all good.
Yeah,
so,
and they're mad because your report came out on the same day that they were celebrating this $2.2 billion that the seniors received in scholarships. So they didn't like that too much.
It was also the last day of school, so they tried to chase us away from the campus, but they let us stay because we're right off the campus.
So they conceded. They conceded your numbers, though. This is important. So they didn't say, "Oh, that's not true." They didn't say, "Oh, that's not true," and we have our own numbers that we'll never show you. That they didn't try that.
No, you're right. You're right, Dan. It's a big improvement, because last time when we came out with a bigger statewide report, Pritzker said the numbers were wrong. And again, we kept pushing the fact that the numbers were his numbers. They're coming straight from the State Board of Education. This time around, they didn't say the numbers were wrong. They just said that we're just like any other big city. So,
yeah.
The whole thing is, you can't fix a problem until you acknowledge it, and that's the big push we're having. Is when you have a handful of kids reading at grade level, we're talking about destruction. Well, we already have a big problem in Chicago. But when CPS, which is now 90% Black or Hispanic, when they can't read and do math, it spells a deep trouble for the future of Chicago, as if it already didn't have enough problems.
And it just gets uglier, at least for those paying attention, which is almost nobody. But we talked about this yesterday, that Stanford University report on charter schools versus the charter school performance versus traditional public school performance. And the finding, particularly in New York City, but not limited to New York City, they looked at more than 24 cities, that charter schools are just dwarfing the performance of their local school peers in terms of math and reading proficiency.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that for New York. I can't say the same thing for Chicago. I looked at it a few months ago, and there's, there are, of course, a few good charter schools, but overall the results were somewhat disappointing. And that's why, I've seen in Chicago, some people say they support public school choice. And I'm like, well, hang on a minute. School choice, right, means any kind of school. But charters, I'm glad they're doing well in New York, but I can't jump up and down about them in Chicago in particular, because the unions have such a big hold here.
Exactly.
That, if they're not unionizing them now, they will be very shortly, because the bigger charters get, the more that the unions will say, then we belong in there too, and then the game is over.
Yeah, I mean, it's important, even with the performance of Success Academies and other charter school outfits in New York, to remember the only way this works, if you're going to cede control of a city or a state to the unions, which Illinois has done, which New York has done, is for full choice, because ultimately the unions will come either from through the back door or right through the front door in the case of Chicago, and take over or diminish the real competition that exists, because they'll poison those charter schools the same way that they did the local schools. I mean, the funny thing about charter schools, of course, is what's a charter school? It's a school that doesn't have to abide all of the onerous red tape and silliness that the public schools inflict upon the families that they attempt to serve. So, I mean, I always found this so silly. So if you believe the charter schools are better because they can operate more freely, less encumbered, then why wouldn't you do the same thing system-wide? And why would you limit it to just government-run schools? I mean, that's the charter school proponents who stop short of full school choice don't even understand the logic of their own argument or their position.
Yeah, well, and actually what it means, Dan, is that they're those people who don't support private school choice, only public school choices. They're part of the system. They're part of that public system where the money is controlled by the government, controlled by the unions, and funneled by them to the different schools. And so they want to be part of that club of controlling the money. So that's the obvious thing.
Well, speaking of unions, CTU, I mean, they're getting whatever they want with Mayor Brandon Johnson on the 5th floor. They got their 12 weeks paternity leave for birthing people. And now they get to keep those COVID sick days that they had last year.
Isn't COVID done?
Oh, no, it's done when we say it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So, fascinating, right? So they get to keep, the 5 days of sick leave that they can use going forward, and they get 2 additional days. And that's for the next school year. I thought we had finished the COVID pandemic, but, there's a lot to be said about that thing. One, and I haven't read the details of this one, but, a lot of these sick days never go used. And what teachers get to do on sick days, in general, maybe not these, but Indiana has the same effect. Sick days get banked by teachers. If they don't use them, they get to keep them as years of service. And so at the very end, they can stack up all their unused sick leave up to 2 years worth and turn it in as 2 years worth of service. So it's really a pension sweetener, massive pension sweetener.
You have updated numbers on the outmigration from Illinois in 2021. What are they?
Yeah, so Governor Pritzker keeps denying these population losses, but there's every source of data we've talked about it. You got the U-Haul, you've got the IRS data. The IRS data is great because it's like straight from returns, but this is census data, and they just came out and they just gave out the state-by-state migration numbers. So, it confirms what they already said before, that we lost almost 150,000 residents to other states. When you count the ins and the outs of people moving between states, we lost 150,000, the third worst in the country, only behind California and New York. But what's really fascinating, my favorite part is this. We're getting our butts beat by our next door neighbors. We were a net loser to every single one of our neighbors. We lost 19,000 on net to Indiana, 17,000 on net to Wisconsin, 15,000 on net to Missouri. It's so easy to move over the border now. And what's funny is, we on our Twitter accounts, we get all kinds of people saying, "Oh, I'd never go to Indiana." Well, lots of people are going to Indiana. It's just a lot cheaper. It's a better managed state. And your house value will go up and your tax bills won't. It's becoming a slam dunk for many people.
He is Ted Dabrowski, president of WirePoint, wirepoints.org, all things Illinois policy related. Ted, thanks as always. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
It seems like everyone is on a complicated diet these days. Gluten-free, keto, metabolic, sugar-free. And with these diets comes special dietary protocol and food products. You can find plenty of advice on your social media sites, but you need expertise to purchase the right food items. A visit to Lil's Dietary Specialty Shop is necessary to shop the best food choices for a medical diet or health plan. Lil's Dietary Specialty Shop stocks all the hard-to-find foods you're looking for, like wheat and dairy alternatives, sugar-free baking mixes, healthy snacks, and more. There's no longer a reason to put off that diet you're supposed to be on when you have Lil's. The staff has personally researched and vetted each item in the store and has plenty of choices in stock.
Lil's Dietary Specialty Shop on 111th Street in Mount Greenwood on the south side of Chicago. Stop in and shop in person or order online at lilsdietary.com and get your items shipped right to your home. lilsdietary.com. Shop, learn, and be healthy.
One of the most important decisions you can make as a parent is where you send your kids to school. But these days, it's never been harder to know which school is best. Public schools have changed a lot, and you might be thinking about sending your child to a private Christian school. But you also know that private school can be expensive, and in this economy, you might think it's not an option. Well, think again. With halfpriceschools.com, you can purchase tuition vouchers for half the price of normal tuition for private schools. For nearly 10 years, HalfPriceSchools.com has helped families from all over Chicagoland make the dream of private school a reality. And that can be the reality for you and your child too. Just go to HalfPriceSchools.com, search for a private Christian school near you, and purchase a voucher. It's that easy. Visit HalfPriceSchools.com. That's HalfPriceSchools.com.
I'm Seth Leibson of AM 960 The Patriot in Phoenix. Donald Trump has been indicted by the Special Counsel of the Department of Justice for the unlawful retention and use of records from his presidency. This unprecedented indictment comes as President Trump is also the leading political opponent of the current president, who oversees the Department of Justice, to whom the Special Counsel answers. Remember, Trump was impeached the first time in 2019 over allegations that he used his office to target his political opponent. One thing should be kept in mind, though. The first legal filing by any party in a criminal or civil case almost always looks damning and often unanswerable. Reserved judgment is in order. Only one side has had their say here, and there's always another, namely the defense, and a judge, and a jury, and we haven't heard from any of them yet. We live in a moment of rushed judgments and hasty conclusions, but patience is in order, especially in such unprecedented moment. I'm Seth Leibson.
Publicpolicy.pepperdine.edu.
Don't defund the police. Hire the police to protect your business. Rising crime has been crippling business owners in Illinois more and more in the past year. Blue Star Security can protect your most valuable asset, your business, to protect both you and your customers. Blue Star Security is the only security company in Chicago with over 500 off-duty police officers, all W-2 employees.
I'm Anthony Varchetto, president of Blue Star Security and a 20-year law enforcement veteran. Our team is exclusively state-certified active and retired law enforcement professionals who provide the highest standards in security. We serve Fortune 500 companies, as well as small businesses and individuals, responding rapidly and seamlessly to each assignment. Blue Star Security's technology allows mobilization of off-duty officers quickly and efficiently. Our primary mission is to provide unparalleled protective services for each assignment with integrity while maintaining our commitment to community service in the Chicagoland area.
Visit online to schedule a free security consultation at BlueStarSecurityLTD.com. That's BlueStarSecurityLTD.com.
Think back to a time when you were doing a physically demanding activity and you wanted to keep going, but you just didn't have the energy to. Having the right nutrition can make a huge difference between energy and long-lasting energy. That's why it's so important to nourish our bodies with the right kind of fuel, and there's no better way of doing that than with fruits and vegetables. You can get the benefits of 31 whole fruits and vegetables by taking a few capsules of Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies. Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first order as a preferred customer. That's 1-800-246-8751. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Attention homeowners. When selling a home, the goal is to minimize your stress and maximize your bottom line. Did you know you can set your selling price and closing date before ever going on the market? Don't go it alone. For over 35 years, the Wexler Group has been minimizing stress for homeowners. Choose one of their top selling programs. Know your closing date and sale price before ever going on the market. The Instant Offer program allows you to sell fast. No hassle, no sign, no online photos, and no cleanup or clean out. With the Guaranteed Sale program, you'll explode onto the market, going for top dollar while already knowing your bottom line and preferred closing date. Either way, Know your closing date and sale price first. With the Wexler Group at Keller Williams Preferred Realty, you choose the closing date and sale price up front, and we do the rest. Call 708-629-5151. That's 708-629-5151 or thewexlergroup.com. Make this move your best move ever. Tammy Northcutt and Ron Wexler are Illinois licensed realtors serving 100% of Chicago and its suburbs.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Professor of Politics at Birkbeck College, University of London, Eric Kaufman at 8:08.
But now let's head straight into that newsroom. Actually, no, let's not. Forecast sun right now, but rain this afternoon. It's 8 a.m. WIND Chicago.
He says he'll plead guilty, not guilty if he's asked to. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News, and former President Trump goes to court in Miami this afternoon to face 37 criminal charges over his handling of classified documents found at his Florida resort. The GOP frontrunner in the 2024 race claims he did nothing wrong and has supporters outside the court.
It's probably the worst thing that's happened to the Republican Party since the assassination of President Lincoln.
In anticipation of protests outside the courthouse, additional law enforcement officers have been brought in.
That's Fox's Jonathan Sari in Miami.
After the hearing, Mr. Trump plans to waste no time getting out of here, flying back to his golf club in Bedminster, New Jersey, where he plans to deliver some public comments, but also to hold a major fundraiser.
Now, Republicans investigating President Biden's family business dealings have new evidence they want to hear from Ukraine. Senator Chuck Grassley says
the foreign national who allegedly bribed Joe and Hunter Biden allegedly has audio recordings of his conversation with them.
Today, President Biden will meet with NATO's leader discussing the war in Ukraine, where a Russian missile attack on residential buildings in Kryvyi Rih killed at least 11 people as rescuers search for others trapped in the rubble. We just got an update showing inflation is slowing.
The consumer price index for the year ending in May rose 4%. The month-over-month increase was 0.1%.
Fox's Ginny Casola, that annual inflation reading is the lowest in more than 2 years. There was a shooting in Denver overnight. 9 people injured, 3 critically. Police say one of the other 6 is the suspected gunman now in custody. And it happened while thousands of people were out celebrating the Denver Nuggets winning the NBA championship.
There's such joy right now in the Mile High City. The first title in franchise history.
The final call on ABC. The Nuggets beat the Miami Heat 94-89 in Game 5 of the finals. America's listening to Fox News.
Clouds and sun, 57 degrees at 8:02. On AM 560, The Answer, and good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Chicago police brass are addressing the violence that hit the city over the weekend. Interim Police Superintendent Fred Waller saying the department saw what changes need to be made and that they need additional resources.
We're applying what we learned these past few weeks to operations moving forward so we can continuously improve.
31 were shot over the weekend, including 4 who died. The head of the biggest Chicago police union is demanding his members also receive 12 weeks of paid parental leave, just like teachers. In a video to union members, FOP President John Catanzara is saying teachers were granted parental leave by Mayor Johnson without bargaining, so they expect the same. A certified nursing assistant at a state-run mental health facility in Elgin is facing charges of abuse and battery. Lauren Carroll of Calumet City is accused of abuse and neglect of a long-term care resident. She turned herself in to Kane County authorities on Friday. Currently, she is out on bond. Chicago's Grubhub is laying off 400 corporate employees, they say, to remain competitive with companies like Uber Eats and DoorDash. The Nuggets NBA champions after beating the Heat. White Sox take on the Dodgers tonight, while the Cubs begin a home series with the Pirates. The news a service of the AM 560 Advantage, where membership has its privileges. 8:03, time for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank. Visit signaturebank.bank for all your commercial banking needs. Now the latest from the Fox Business Network.
I'm Elizabeth McDonald, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Oracle shares are rallying. The software company's earnings were better than expected, helped by its cloud computing business. Oracle's cloud service is seeing demand from companies working on artificial intelligence. Small business owners were feeling better about the economy this month. The National Federation of Independent Business says its index improved, though it is still well below the long-term average. Inflation was the top concern of small business owners surveyed. Those responding are still reporting job openings were hard to fill, though the reading was better than the previous month. The Federal Reserve meeting is today and tomorrow, and Wall Street will be reacting today to the update on inflation, the Consumer Price Index for May. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Ginny Cosola, invested in you.
8:04. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Brandon Tatum explains what will win in 2024.
If you were just running for the Republican ticket, then just keep being far-right extreme Republican, and you're going to win. But if you think you're going to get people in the middle, you're going to win an election, you have to be more than the Republicans love you, but the Democrats hate you more. You cannot win with that theology.
The Officer Tatum Show. Weeknights at 7, right before Jay Sekulow at 9 on AM 560. The Answer.
Sean Thompson here. You know I like to speak the truth about the Democrat mafia, and boy does it make my blood boil. Well, if you have high blood pressure or know someone who does, I have the answer for you. 120 Life. They're a Chicago company that developed a juice drink that helps lower blood pressure naturally. 120 Life is a natural juice drink made of pomegranates, tart cherries, cranberries, hibiscus, beetroot, and magnesium. It helps lower blood pressure without the side effects of pills. I'm drinking it, and I love it. You will too. It keeps me energized and keeps my blood pressure in check. The truth is, there are easy, natural ways to keep your blood pressure in check, and one of them is 120 Life. Check it out and tell them Sean Thompson sent you. Visit 120life.com. That's 120life.com. You can order a 2-week trial pack of their juice drink. There's a money-back guarantee, and you can use the coupon code LIBERTY to save 15%. The natural answer to high blood pressure. Visit 120life.com. That's 120life.com. And start lowering your blood pressure in just 2 weeks.
Hi, I'm Martha Stewart. Every year, more than 4 million pets enter shelters here in the United States. My friends at American Humane have been helping animals since 1877. The goal is to ensure that pets have a safe shelter, especially during natural disasters. Adopting a shelter pet allows shelters to help more animals awaiting care. Please consider adopting today and take some time to learn more about American Humane's other work at americanhumane.org.
There are more identity threats than you realize. Even if you monitor your credit, only a little personal info needs to leak out, like your social security number or password,
for you to become a victim.
LifeLock alerts you to threats you could miss. If your identity is stolen, a dedicated U.S.-based restoration specialist will work to fix it. No one can prevent all identity theft or monitor all transactions, but everyone can save up to 25% off their first year with promo code NEWS. Go to LifeLock.com.
Oil investments involve a high degree of risk and actual results may vary. Oil and natural gas keep going up as the Russia conflict escalates. Get in on the next major oil boom now and help the U.S. with your patriotic investment that can potentially pay you monthly income for up to 20 or more years. That's the sound of a producing oil well and the sound of a smart investment. If you're an SEC accredited investor and have at least $25,000 liquid now, you can take advantage of Encore Energy's projects and a huge tax savings for this year. If you invest in oil and natural gas, you're allowed to write off nearly 100% of your investment in the first year. Goldman Sachs is projecting oil to go up to $100 a barrel, and natural gas is the fuel of the future and trading at record prices. Call 800-287-6691. Encore Energy is a major investor and experienced operator in its core area of operations. Call now and learn how to deduct 100% of your investment and create 20 or more years of potential monthly income. Call 800-287-6691. That's 800-287-6691.
8:08. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time is the service of MyPillow. Big news, brand new MyPillow 2.0. Buy one, get one free with promo code LIBERTY. Machine washable, dryable, 60-day money-back guarantee. MyPillow.com, promo code LIBERTY. Inbound Kennedy right now is 82 minutes from O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange and solid all the way in. Outbound 40 minutes back out to the big airport. Ike, 53 from 390 into the old post office. Outbound 45 minutes from the old post office out to Route 390. I-55 overturned semi, 3 lanes blocked. It's on the southbound side between US 30 to right before Caton Farm Road, and traffic is getting by on the right-hand shoulder. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Clouds breezy and cool, passing shower this morning, followed by periods of rain today. The afternoon high 66. Showers this evening, otherwise partly cloudy late tonight, low 57. Morning shower in the area tomorrow, otherwise partly sunny, high 74. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Partly sunny and 60 at O'Hare. Next news 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560 The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Independent journalist Matt Taibbi was, once upon a time, a man of the leftist press corps in good standing. He wrote the book Insane Clown President about Donald Trump. But then he started to question the Russian hoax. And then he became one of the journalists that Elon Musk went to for release of the Twitter files. And then he started going after big tech, and he relayed being targeted by the IRS, a home visit from the IRS the day after he testified before the House Republicans' Weaponization of Government Committee. How ironic. Yeah, so no longer a man of the left in good standing, because independent thinking is not allowed. You must stick to the narrative. You must hate who we hate and love who we love. His podcast, most recent installment of his podcast, interesting discussion with non-traditional guests when it comes to talking about these political matters that afflict us. Novelist Walter Kern. You know Walter Kern? He wrote Up in the Air, among other books. The discussion was about sort of timely in talking about election interference, not specifically with respect to the Trump indictment as an instrument of election interference, the FBI and DOJ, but just information interference, and specifically, a la Taibbi's work on the Twitter files, specifically big tech's next level information interference coming in advance of 2024. If you thought it was bad before, just as if you thought the FBI's interference in elections was bad before, how do you like them now? Well, that's essentially the same thing that they're saying about big tech. You know, get ready for what's coming. Listen to the exchange between Matt Taibbi and Walter Kern.
If you go off your nut on Twitter as a Trump supporter and say, this is it, I've had it, I don't want to be a part of this country anymore, we need to find a new way, here comes a civil war, etc. Well, your demerits are piling up pretty fast. The knob turners are watching at every step as anger and disgust mount. And, you know, should any of this emerge as real conflict, you know, somebody pulls out a gun, there is a clash between Antifa and whoever, the Patriot Front, and then people weigh in on that or start to align themselves around, incidents, we're going to have a mushroom cloud of anti-disinformation warfare. And I fully expect that's what we're looking at. I mean, I don't want to be alarmist, and I don't want to add to the tension around this incident, but pattern recognition and just past behavior tells me that we're entering a period in which the interference with our conversation, as our conversation grows especially intense due to things like this indictment, is going to reach record levels. In other words, we're not looking in the rearview mirror at a departing phenomena that we saw in the Twitter files somehow neutralized and are watching wash away.
No, that was the fetal larval stage of what we're right.
Yeah, yes, it's the fetal large, and every weapon system awaits its war. And the weapons system that is the anti-disinformation complex, and it's right to call it a weapon system because to a large extent it's been framed as a security and national defense issue. Its war is coming.
Big tech's war is coming. The larval stage. We've been in the larval stage to this point, Taibbi said. All right. We're on the precipice of Ingsoc, the way that those gentlemen make it sound. And I'm not necessarily disagreeing. And by the way, this is after elections with Zucker boxes and wired up Google searches. I mean, what's the research from Robert Epstein, the Harvard-trained psychologist, in terms of his projection on how many votes Google moved in 2016 and could move in 2024? In the millions, through this disinformation security complex they're talking about. For more on this, please be joined by Eric Kaufman, professor of politics at Birkbeck College, University of London, author of White Shift, Populism, Immigration, and the Future of White Majorities. Professor Kaufman, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Good to be here, Dan.
You wrote,
always.
Yeah, good to have you. You wrote recently about this to some extent, too. You talked in a piece you wrote for City Journal about the narrowing boundaries of acceptable debate, the shutting down of important policy conversations, and so the policy drift leftward in big cities, for example, on crime and immigration, education. What's your reaction to what you heard Kern and Taibbi discussing?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a similar phenomenon to what I wrote about in the sense of trying to shut down debates with ad hominem charges of different, playing the man instead of the ball. I mean, the piece that I wrote is really about how there's a certain rhetorical sleight of hand that's used by those on the progressive left to shut down conversations. And so, for example, and it's something called the fallacy of composition. It's a logical fallacy, and whether deliberately or unconsciously, this is the game that's often played. So, for example, if I say something like, if I was to say to you, it's very hard to tear a phone book, it doesn't follow that it's hard to tear a page in a phone book. And that's an example of this fallacy. Or if you meet a Nigerian, yes, Nigeria is a poor country. It doesn't mean that individual Nigerian is poor. But going from that,
all poodles are dogs, but not all dogs are poodles.
Yeah. And so if we then take a statement such as immigration should be controlled or reduced for the benefit of the country, the technique is usually to turn that to personalize that and say, oh, you don't like immigrants, you don't like this immigrant, you want to exclude or prevent this immigrant from flourishing. That's the kind of game that I'm talking about through this fallacy of composition, right? So You can like immigrants individually, but still think that collectively for the society it's better to have immigration controlled. Or you can say that we want to get the divorce rate down, doesn't mean we're anti a single mother. So it's again that sort of technique to say, oh, you think that we should discourage transgenderism, that means you want to hate and exclude transgender people. You see that move from something which would make sense for the health of the society collectively. Instead of having a rational debate about that, it turns into a personalized debate about whether you like an individual. And that's just sort of something I was pointing to as a sort of technique that is used repeatedly to shut down debate.
Right, like insurrectionists, like all Trump voters, this, and all conservatives that, and throwing around the isms and the phobias. This is what you reference. Cass Sunstein, of all people, Cass Sunstein, calls opprobrium entrepreneurs. That's what the left is.
Well, yeah, because they have an incentive really to weaponize this taboo, to make everything personal and about hurting or harming some poor individual. So if you want to talk about transgenderism, you want to exclude a transgender person just because you want to sort of reduce the number of people trying to transition. Or, for example, if you want to reduce immigration, you must hate individual immigrants. So let's make it a conversation about excluding and discriminating against an individual rather than talking about a policy of what's best for the country at a collective level. And so we see, and that's why if you talk about homelessness, for example, wanting to get people off the drugs, or crime, or any of these hot-button issues, they'll move instantly towards this idea that you are persecuting an individual, that you hate an individual in order to sort of make it a racist, a homophobic, etc. Type of statement, so that therefore the conversation ends. And what that means is then you get policy failure, because you can't have a rational conversation about crime, homelessness, education, etc. And so policy just drifts in the direction of sort of untouchable progressivism, and I guess the question is we need to be unmasking that much more actively, because it's a sort of very much a sleight of hand. They're pulling the wool over our eyes with a pretty common logical fallacy.
Well, then how do we fight back or unmask, as you say?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we have to be able to spot that game, that switch from the phone book to the individual page in the phone book, that sort of game that's played. So whenever they try to play that game, we've got to sort of call them out on it and say, first of all, you're committing this fallacy, and you can be in favor of reducing immigration. It doesn't mean you dislike immigrants. It's a completely different category. So I think that's one way really to do it, is to just call it out, because I see them getting away with it, which is partly because we live in a more therapeutic society where people tend to be moved by images of individuals rather than by kind of arguments about collective properties. It's much harder. Another example is even talking about ethnic change and wanting ethnic change to slow down, and the idea there is, you're a racist because you want to exclude and discriminate. No, that's actually, again, committing the same fallacy. But it means that we can't have that conversation, because whenever you want to have that conversation, it's fingered as being discriminatory, right? So I think it's just people getting familiar with this term, fallacy of composition, and just sort of bringing it up every time that there's that attempt to personalize what should be a collective and aggregate discussion about rationality.
He is Eric Kaufman, professor of politics at Birkbeck College, University of London, author of White Shift, Populism, Immigration, and the Future of White Majorities. Professor Kaufman, thanks as always. Appreciate it.
Thanks very much, Dan.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Everyone knows that crime is on the rise. It's imperative that law enforcement agents have the information they need to keep citizens safe and protect themselves as well. If you are a sworn law enforcement agent certified in the state of Illinois and working for an agency in Illinois, you might be interested in this announcement. Would you like to have an on-the-job decision-making tool at your fingertips? Law enforcement agency data systems information is available to you at an affordable price when you use the Illinois Public Safety Agency Network products, Bullet or Mini Bullet. Your Android or Apple-based handheld mobile device, phone or tablet can receive this data. In addition, your desktop or laptop can also receive this information via the internet. Just call the Illinois Public Safety Agency Network at 773-693-3000 or visit ipsan.org. And Pilot Bullet or Mini Bullet. That's 773-693-3000 or visit ipsan.org.
Guys, a lot of people talking about testosterone, but do your homework and go to a provider you can trust. I've been recommending my friends at Low T Center for 8 years. It's where I get my levels checked. Low T Center exclusively specializes in men's wellness. They check all your levels, not just your testosterone, and determine the cause of any symptoms you're having and whether you're a candidate for low T or something else like low thyroid or sleep apnea. Typically, their annual health assessment is completely covered by health insurance, and they check everything, including PSA, your prostate levels, as well as thyroid, liver and kidney function, cholesterol, glucose levels, and more. Low T Center has affordable and convenient options for treatment, including monitored self-inject treatment that ships directly to you each month, so there's no need to come to the center each week. Make your health a priority and schedule your annual health assessment at Low T Center today. It's covered by most health insurance or less than $100 cash pay. Visit lowtcenter.com to book your appointment online. That's lowtcenter.com. Tell them Dan Prof sent you. When you do, Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
You're smart, you're busy, and don't have time to waste on the mainstream media cycle. Salem News Channel breaks that cycle. Topics that matter from hosts worth watching. Dinesh D'Souza, Andrew Wilkow, Brandon Tatum, and more. Open debate and free speech you won't find anywhere else. Salem News Channel, not like the other guys. Watch anytime on any screen, free 24/7. Find everything you need to know at snc.tv. That's snc.tv.
You can't live forever, but your legacy can. For over 185 years, families have trusted Catholic Cemeteries of Chicago, with 47 locations throughout Cook and Lake counties, to set their legacies in stone. A prepaid cemetery plan locks in today's prices and safeguards against rising inflation. Visit CatholicCemeteryChicago.org or call 708-236-5490 to schedule a free consultation today.
All right, now's the time when structural problems can start in your home. If you're noticing new cracks in your walls or brickwork, sinking ground or concrete, sagging floors, gaps under baseboards, sticking doors and windows, these are all symptoms of structural foundation problems. And it's time to call Permaseal Basement Systems. All too often, homeowners ignore these signs and then experience even bigger problems down the road, which costs much more to fix. Call Permaseal today, 800-421-7325. You can rely on an honest, accurate, and free evaluation from Permaseal's trained experts. For a free, thorough inspection, call Permaseal. You know the number, but let's say it together. 800-421-SEAL, 800-421-7325, or simply visit permaseal.net.
Think back to a time when you were doing a physically demanding activity and you wanted to keep going, but you just didn't have the energy to. Having the right nutrition can make a huge difference between energy and long-lasting energy. That's why it's so important to nourish our bodies with the right kind of fuel, and there's no better way of doing that than with fruits and vegetables. You can get the benefits of 31 whole fruits and vegetables by taking a few capsules of Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies. Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first order as a preferred customer. That's 1-800-246-8751. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy,
yeah, what do you got, boss?
See this piece in the Sunday Times about the origins of COVID? Kind of an important piece. We seem to have spent a lot of time over the last 3 years talking about the origins of COVID. We still have the Panjan drums that led us through the pandemic disputing that it came from the Wuhan Virology Lab. Sunday Times, across the pond, reviewed hundreds of documents, including previously confidential reports, internal memos, scientific papers, and email correspondence obtained through sources or by Freedom of Information campaigners in the 3 years since the pandemic started. They also interviewed U.S. State Department investigators, including experts specializing in China, emerging pandemic threats, and biowarfare, who conducted what the outlet describes as the first significant U.S. inquiry into the origins of the COVID-19 outbreak.
Okay.
Our new investigation paints the clearest picture yet of what happened in the Wuhan lab. The facility, which had started hunting the origins of the SARS virus in 2003, attracted U.S. government funding through a New York-based charity whose president was a British-born and educated zoologist. That would be Peter Daszak. America's leading coronavirus scientists shared cutting-edge virus manipulation techniques. The Institute was engaged in increasingly risky experiments on coronaviruses it gathered from bat caves in southern China. Initially, it made its findings public and argued the associated risks were justified because the work might help science and develop vaccines. This changed in 2016 after researchers discovered a new type of coronavirus in a mine shaft in Mojiang in the Yunnan province, where people had died from symptoms similar to SARS, that is.
Huh.
The Mojiang mine shaft strain, which killed several people, now recognized as the only members of COVID-19's immediate family known to have been in existence pre-pandemic, and were transported to the Wuhan Institute of Virology. After that, the trail of papers starts to go dark, said one U.S. investigator. That's exactly when the classified program kicked off. My view is that the reason Mojiang was covered up was due to military secrecy related to the Army's pursuit of dual-use capabilities in virological, biological weapons, and vaccines. It has become increasingly clear that the Wuhan Institute of Virology was involved in the creation, promulgation, and cover-up of the COVID-19 pandemic, said one of the U.S. investigators, who found evidence that researchers working on said experiments were hospitalized in November of 2019 with COVID-19-like symptoms, just 1 month before the West became aware of the pandemic. One of the victims' relatives died as well. We're rock-solid confident this was likely COVID-19 because they were working on advanced coronavirus research in the laboratory. They are trained biologists in their 30s and 40s. 35-year-old scientists don't get very sick with influenza. And it goes on from there, but that's the sort of summary of what these findings are. This should be shouted from the rooftop. Everybody should be talking about this.
It should lead every newscast and every 24-hour cable station.
And all of those people that did dismiss and continue to dismiss up until this very day, including those with knowledge of what was happening, or you would think would have knowledge, you certainly would want to inquire them. Tony Fauci, Francis Collins, Rochelle Walensky, Redfern as well. Where are they? I mean, I hope this is something House Republicans take up, because it seems like that's the only place, or Republican presidential candidates take up, because it seems like it's the only place where you're going to get relevant questions asked, or by whom.
And we want to make sure this doesn't happen again.
All right.
Not locking down, but they're still masking up at the White House. If you are unvaccinated and you are visiting the White House, so you're on a championship team, like they did yesterday, you have to wear a mask.
I was flipping through the channels yesterday.
Yeah, they're all outside too.
I happened upon this ghastly Drew Barrymore midday show.
Oh yeah.
The entire audience was wearing masks.
It could have been a rerun, but it could not. I mean, we don't know.
I don't think so. I don't think it was a rerun.
I mean, there's people
don't
that
know.
It's a mental illness now.
And it's hard to discern because
is...
they're just they're just babbling, so it's hard to know what the hell they're talking about.
Yeah, but once again, shaming the unvaccinated.
Coming up at 8:38, we segue to Michael Goodwin, New York Post columnist, Fox News contributor, to talk more about this, as well as, of course, the Trump indictment and presidential politics. That's at 8:38.
Yes, today's indictment day. Part 2. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
60 degrees at 8:33. 10 are killed in a Russian missile attack. It hit an apartment building and a warehouse in Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's hometown. Denver police say now 10 are injured after a shooting early this morning. A suspect in custody also shot. The shooting took place about a mile from where Denver won their NBA title last night. Police in Miami preparing for former President Trump's arraignment in federal court this afternoon. Mayor Francis Suarez.
We had a lot of resources at our disposal that were very unique, in my opinion, in the country, and allowed us to manage things without hurting anyone and without unnecessarily large numbers of arrests.
In Washington, there could be tapes about a whistleblower's claims into a Biden family bribery scheme.
The foreign national who allegedly bribed Joe and Hunter Biden allegedly has audio recordings of his conversation with them. 17 such recordings.
Republican Iowa Senator Chuck Grassley. Authorities in Philadelphia have recovered a body along I-95 where a tanker caught fire over the weekend, eventually leading to the collapse of an elevated portion of the roadway. New developments this morning in the high-profile killing of a tech executive in San Francisco. Man accused of stabbing Cash App founder Bob Lee 2 months ago will be in court today with a new lawyer. Bond set at $2 million for an Elgin man charged in a crash that killed a teen couple in Hoffman Estates over the weekend. Police now say Denny Rubio admitted to drinking alcohol and using cocaine before the deadly crash. An employee of a Park Ridge private school for children with special needs is out on bond after being charged with predatory criminal sexual assault involving a child. Court records show Anthony Mesa's mother posted bail back on May 24. Actor Treat Williams is dead at the age of 71. Williams, the star of Everwood, Hair, and many Hollywood movies, died Monday afternoon in a motorcycle accident cut off by a car who did not see him while Williams was trying to make a turn. Sox take on the Dodgers tonight while the Cubs battle the Pirates at Wrigley Field. The news, a service of Cabino Environmental. Home and business owners use Cabino Oil Stain Remover. It's the most powerful oil stain lifting formula on the market. Cabino Oil Stain Remover is available at all 8 Rental Max locations. A check of traffic and weather is on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher can't picture 4 more years.
White House officials generally leave President Biden alone over the weekend to avoid tiring an aging president. This is incredible. There's no way he can make a campaign. It's impossible.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables in a capsule, changing the world one life at a time.
Man, you talk about hitting a grand slam, just feeling just incredible. And I mean, I haven't felt this great in years. I'm 52, and with these, wow, it's just given me the energy every day to continue to do the exercises. And I just appreciate the doctor for what he's done. I'm impressed. I'm just become a new man with energy. I've never felt this great. I just want to say thank you to you guys.
Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first preferred order. That's 1-800-246-8751. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
It's summertime, and you want to keep the shop, warehouse, and other doors open for ventilation. Air circulation improves the well-being of your employees and customers, but open doors can let in the uninvited, like strangers, birds, rodents, and bugs. Industrial Door Company of Chicago, Inc. can help solve the problem with a full line of commercial screen door products designed with these specific problems in mind. Call Industrial Door Company of Chicago, Inc. now. Also, regular scheduled maintenance is the key, and Industrial Door Company of Chicago, Inc. has multiple levels of maintenance programs for your company's needs and budget. They'll ensure your doors, grills, gates, and dock equipment are working to specification to increase the useful life of your doors. Visit their website to see a range of products and services at industrialdoor.com. Call anytime, 847-258-5620. Their team will be there to assist in designing a solution that works best for you. Since 1982, the Industrial Door Company of Chicago, Inc. takes care of your doors so you can take care of business.
8:38, let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. a service of Verizon. Ready to take control of your phone plan? Well, then you better make that next turn into a Verizon store. Get exactly what you want. Only pay for what you need. Get my plan at your Verizon store today. Kennedy right now at 82 minutes from O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Kennedy outbound, an accident at Costner. 15 to the junction, 36 back out to the big airport. Ike in 47, 390 to the old post office. I-55, an overturned semi, 3 lanes blocked. You're getting by on the right-hand shoulder there as a semi lost a load of asphalt between US 30 and Caton Farm Road. Tri-State jams up northbound 87 all the way to 31st. I-80 stop-and-go traffic eastbound I-55 to Hobel. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Breezy with a shower this morning, followed by periods of sun and clouds this afternoon, and another chance of rain. High 66. Partly sunny and 60 right now. Next news at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Well, the Democrat Socialists, the ruling class types inside the Beltway, know they have a Hillary Clinton problem when it comes to the prosecution of Donald Trump, who will be arraigned this morning in Miami. They know that they have an equal application of the law problem. And that's why they're trotting out the likes of Andy McCabe to try to distinguish the decision in the Hillary Clinton private server case made by one Jim Comey from the decision made in the Trump case with respect to the handling of classified information. This was McCabe yesterday on CNN reading his prepared statement after prompting from Dana Bash.
And these two cases could not be more different on the facts. So let's talk about what we actually found in the Hillary Clinton email case. Yes, Hillary Clinton maintained private servers. Emails went across those servers. Ultimately, she returned 30,000 emails to the Department of Defense, work-related emails. In addition to those, we found thousands more emails that she exchanged with people. The total classified materials seized from that review were essentially 55 email conversations, strings of emails, in which 8 were classified top secret, 37 secret, and 10 confidential. Now, it's important to remember, those weren't classified documents. That was simply the content of email exchanges that was later deemed to be classified. These weren't documents with classified stampings on the tops and bottoms and cover sheets and all that kind of stuff. Should it have happened? No. But what we didn't have was evidence that Hillary Clinton had intentionally exchanged or withheld classified information. And that's just what we could and could not prove at the end of the day.
So Andy McCabe has lied before Congress, just as Jim Comey has, just as James Clapper has. They get to lie with impunity, no sanctions. You make a false statement to the FBI, you make a false statement to them, and of course you're facing federal prosecution. What he said is absurd. It's not even close to the truth.
No.
She set up a private server for the purpose of trafficking in information off grid. She's the Secretary of State. She has a very high security clearance. She is going to be receiving and potentially disseminating classified information. She was under subpoena to produce information that she destroyed. Not accidentally.
With a hammer.
Not with a cloth.
With a hammer.
This was Andy McCarthy, an actual prosecutor, unlike Andy McCabe, on our show on Monday discussing this. the distinction, which is why they needed to trot out McCabe, because a lot of people are raising this specter, and it's out there in discussion among the body politic about equal application of the law or the lack thereof with these guys. And by these guys, I mean the FBI and the DOJ.
Hillary Clinton's offense was far more egregious than what Trump did here, because, and I don't approve of what Trump did here, but Hillary Clinton set up a communication system that was non-secure, knowing that she had a position where national security and foreign relations information, which are classified, was going to make up about 80% of her work. So she set up this system knowing that it necessarily meant classified information was going to be transmitted and stored on that system. And she conducted government business over it for years, including communicating with the President of the United States from Russia, under circumstances where it was easy, and the FBI ultimately found it would have been easy for foreign intelligence services to penetrate her communications while she was actively making American policy. And then under a congressional subpoena, she destroyed tens of thousands of government files. And because of the way it was pitched to the public, especially by Obama and Comey, we got into this morass of arguing whether she was grossly negligent or not, when, as I argued at the time and continue to believe, gross negligence had nothing to do with it. She committed the crime that they've actually now charged Trump with.
Couldn't be any clearer. And by the way, Glenn Greenwald, the independent journalist, again here, the few that are left, he did a nice job on his podcast, just going back, reading from the New York Times coverage of this story and Comey's comments about Hillary Clinton at the time.
In 2 hours before she boarded Air Force One for her first joint campaign appearance with President Obama. What a gift. What a stroke of luck. On a day of high political drama in Washington, Mr. Comey rebuked Mrs. Clinton as being, quote, extremely careless in using a private email server, as using a private email address and server. He raised questions about her judgment, contradicted statements she had made about her email practices, said it was possible that hostile foreign governments had gained access to her account, and declared that a person still employed by the government, Mrs. Clinton left the State Department in 2013, could have faced disciplinary action for doing what she did.
Yeah, but nobody faces disciplinary action on that side of the aisle. Not Comey, not McCabe. They could have faced disciplinary action. Clapper could have faced disciplinary action. Clinton could have faced disciplinary action. Nobody does, and Trump is under indictment.
The Republicans get raided. The Democrats get searched.
Michael Goodwin joins us, New York Post columnist, Fox News contributor. Michael, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Good morning, guys. Thank you.
The equal application of the law argument, I understand, right? If I'm speeding, it's not, I don't get to say, well, other people were speeding too and you didn't give them a ticket, so therefore I'm absolved. I get that. But by the same token, this is bigger than any particular selective prosecution. This is, to me, and this will be up to Trump's lawyers to insinuate this into the courtroom, this is about, do we have two completely distinct systems of justice based on your political affiliation? And that's in addition to arguing the Presidential Records Act versus the Espionage Act. But to me, that normative question is one that has to be put in front of the jury in some manner.
Well, I suspect the Trump lawyers will certainly use, if there is a jury trial, will certainly use that as a prime element of their defense. I think they'll use some other issues too, relating to the archives laws and what espionage and these things all really mean in practice. But I do agree that the overarching issue here for most Americans is not whether this case is a normal case. It really comes down to, why is this time different? We have, in our republic, never before indicted a former president on federal crimes or on any crimes. Donald Trump has now been indicted twice, once by the Manhattan District Attorney and now by the federal special counsel. And so I think for most people who are aware of this history, they will look at this with extra curiosity in the sense of, as you say, it's not just a legal matter. It's to say it's a political matter, I think, doesn't do it justice either. It really is a foundational issue in America. Are we smarter than the founders? Do we know something today about Donald Trump that would wipe away the reluctance and the refusal for the last 240 years to do anything like this? Why is this time different? What makes it so special that we just throw that history out the window as though it doesn't matter? When you watch Jack Smith, the special counsel, when he gave like 2.5-minute speech last week on this, he acted like this is no big deal. This is routine. This is the law, and everybody has to abide by it. So, according to him, no former president, no other former president has ever done anything wrong. It couldn't possibly be that there was a discretion not to prosecute former presidents and that they were not all angels, but in fact, the country looked at what a president means and how a president is unique in our system. Not a monarch, to be sure, but certainly different. And how that person is treated is very much about the continuation of the American system. It's worked, right? We still have that same system from 240 some years ago. So the people who came before us knew something that either we've decided wasn't important or we've forgotten it.
Well, but our founding fathers didn't have to deal with the FBI.
Well, that's right, yeah. Although, look, even in J. Edgar Hoover's time, right? I mean, when Gerald Ford pardoned Richard Nixon, remember the outcry. But history, I think, has made it clear that Ford made the right decision. And it probably cost him the election in 1976. But history has shown that that was the right decision. Most people now view that as the right decision. So why is this the right decision?
Well, just as Trump decided not to push going after Hillary or Obama after he was elected,
yes,
and he got criticized by some of his supporters for not doing so. But the other thing that's going on concurrently, or not going on, we don't know. Where's Robert Hur on the investigation into Biden's handling of classified documents? Where's David Weiss on the Hunter investigation? Where's Merrick Garland on the matter of appointing a special counsel to look into the Biden Inc. situation, particularly now that we have, per Chuck Grassley, alleged tapes that detail the bribery of the Bidens by a Ukrainian oligarch? Where are those gentlemen, and what are they doing, and what's happening there?
Well, that I think is sort of the other part here of this case. And again, it's not a legal part, but it is this sense of, do you think you can just prosecute one side of the American system and let the other side go? So this is the administration, this is the party that believes that, rioters should not be arrested, but former presidents should, that you can get away with all kinds of crimes if you are of the right political or racial persuasion, but not if you're of the wrong political persuasion or racial persuasion. So it is this sense of two tiers of justice that I think are another heavy burden to this case. And someone said to me the other day that a conservative person used a phrase, which is that we're not voting our way out of this. Now that's an ominous sounding phrase, and the more I think about it, it is despairing in the sense that people don't believe the system will deliver us from this predicament that we're now in, not just on Trump, but at the deep, deep polarization, the sense that there are two sets of rules and that one side gets to make them and enforce them, the other side is supposed to shut up and go along. That is a fundamental challenge to our system if half of the people believe that the process is rigged. And now Donald Trump has made a lot about the 2020 election being stolen. I think up to a point, fair game. But I think at some point it becomes a pointless exercise and is a discouraging thing on its own. Better to play in the game, better to be aggressive about the rules as the other side is, and try. But I think he has, that whole thing, I've had conversations with him about the 2020 election, and I think that weighs heavily on a lot of people now. And, you read the inflammatory headlines in the New York Times every day about what Trump was doing with these documents. I mean, you really believe you can just turn up the heat higher and higher and higher on half the population and there won't be consequences? And I'm not predicting that what those consequences will be, but we want people to participate in the system. But they won't do that if they feel it's broken and rigged against them. And that's what I think the Democrats are creating writ large here, is that this system is not working for half the population. That was the base of Trump's support in the first place. All those people, some of whom had voted for Obama and felt that Obama had let them down, they weren't going to vote for Hillary Clinton, they voted for Trump. And they felt welcome again in the system. And Joe Biden knows this. I mean, he talked about unity and I'll work as hard for those who didn't vote for me as those who did. He didn't mean a word of that, but he knows how important those phrases are. So what is this? The phrase about tribute, hypocrisy is the vice that the virtue that pays to virtue. There's just this pouring on of oil and acid on the heads of conservatives and Republicans. It cannot end well. And I just wish the left, the Democratic Party now, Joe Biden, Merrick Garland, I wish they would wake up to what seems to be a very provocative and dangerous situation they've created.
Michael Goodwin, New York Post columnist and Fox News contributor. Michael, thanks as always. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you both.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
If you'd like information about the many amazing benefits of reverse mortgage loans, you need to call Team Hochberg, your trusted local lender. Attention anyone at least 62, those with parents at least 62, family law attorneys and financial planners. Reverse mortgages are amazing loans for experienced homeowners wanting to enhance their monthly cash flow by deferring mortgage payments and accessing their home's equity tax-free to make safety enhancements to their homes and pay for real estate taxes, food, electric, transportation, and in-home elderly care. To inform listeners about this amazing mortgage option for experienced homeowners, Team Hochberg would like to send you a complimentary reverse mortgage informational packet. Let's review. If you're 62, have parents at least 62, family law attorneys, and financial planners, and would like an informational package about all the amazing benefits of reverse mortgages, give me a call at 855-56-DAVID or visit 56david.com, 855-563-2843, or visit our website, 56david.com. Lower LLC, Equal Housing Lender, MLS 1124061.
If you're hiring, it can feel like trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. Like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Now try ZipRecruiter free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/FREE.
The internet can be an all-you-can-eat buffet for identity thieves.
So full.
Too many maiden names.
And social security numbers.
Where'd you find those?
By the password bar. Can't miss them.
LifeLock alerts you to identity threats you could miss by monitoring your credit and bank statements. If your identity is stolen, a dedicated U.S.-based restoration specialist will work to fix it. No one can prevent all identity theft, but everyone can save up to 25% off their first year with promo code NEWS. Go to LifeLock.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Where are you going to hit the stick today?
The DiGiovanni Raiders outing at Olympia today.
Oh, all right.
Good food, if nothing else. It might be bad golf for me, but it'll be at least good food afterwards.
I'm trying to get Marcus to let Justin and Quinn be part of our golf tournament.
Why don't they caddy for you and Ferrari boy?
Oh, yeah. Stop it. All right, thanks so much for making us part of your morning, part of your lives. Now let's hop into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
Bond set at $2 million for a man charged in a deadly Hoffman Estates crash. CPD brass address a violent Chicago weekend. And the governor signs a controversial anti-book ban bill. WIND Chicago News Time is 9 o'clock.
Some Trump supporters are showing up outside a federal court in Miami. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.